All right, huge movie fanatic Nate, um, huge movie fanatics radio, episode 3. This is the first one where I actually put it out almost a week ago, this particular day and time that I was going to be doing this. So it'll be interesting to see how many people show up to participate, knowing in several days in advance that I was going to be doing this Thursday at 1 p.m. Central Time. Welcome. I've got my bottle of water. I don't have a topics list because I'm hoping people will show up right away and start chatting and bringing up topic ideas, things like that. Looks like Fake Shem Taboo is already in the chat, not even a minute into the stream. Welcome. So I might not really even have to have my own topic. Already got a thumbs up. Thank you very much for doing that, whoever did that. Feel free to just chat and start a topic, basically. I had something, but if no one showed up, but it looks like someone's already here, or potentially 4 people here, or 3. I still don't know if I'm included as one of these people on this number that I'm seeing or whatever. But anyway, before as I wait to see any particular topic comments or anything like that, I will basically update you with week 3 of my, I can never remember this movie's title, Silent Madness experience. Basically, I'm just watching the price on Amazon and watching the amount on Vinegar Syndrome site. It's really cool how they have like this counter that says like, right now it's like over 1,000 units still remaining or whatever. So there's so you can always know as a consumer on their website, Vinegar Syndrome, that for these limited editions and stuff, how many they have left or whatever. So I really appreciate that feature on their website. So I'm basically, Amazon's going to be releasing it, I think, in a week or something like that. Silent Madness. So is that what it's called? Silent Madness, I think. So I'm waiting to see if the price is gonna come down on the Amazon one versus Vinegar Syndrome site. And I imagine the one on Amazon won't be the the limited slipcover, but I don't really care about that. I care about the disc with the 3D, with the movie on it, after all, and the ability to watch it in 3D and all those kind of things. So if I can get the movie or the Blu-ray cheaper on Amazon without the limited slipcover, I will do so. So that's pretty much where I'm at with the Vinegar Syndrome / Silent Madness situation. That's like the only thing that kind of, little news blip that started on Radio Show 1 and updated with 2, and now updating for a 3rd time on the 3rd edition of the radio show. Gary Page says, was Paramount embarrassed about Friday the 13th films, even though they made millions of dollars? Yeah, that's an interesting topic, this whole thing about Paramount distributing a very low-budget independent movie made in New Jersey in 1980 and having it become this huge, successful financial hit, and putting out a movie the following year and subsequently 8 movies throughout the 80s, almost a movie every year. But the whole time, the whole decade they were doing it, they were just terribly embarrassed about it. That's so funny. Good point. Let me take a sip of this convenient bottle of water that I have sitting here next to me. Oh, water. Water. So if you're just joining, I'm basically waiting for people to bring up topics or this and that in the chat. I've got my own topic idea, but that's only if people don't start conversations or topic ideas in the chat or whatever. It's really cool this time, if you're just joining, that people showed up, or someone showed up in the chat, Fake Shem Taboo, less than a minute after I started live streaming, which I think is a first. I don't know. It seemed like people showed up pretty soon my first time too. So, but I don't think it was within a minute. I don't know. It doesn't really matter, but very cool. If you're just joining and haven't, I don't know, possibly, anyway, I'll just say this, that this is the very first live stream I'm doing on this channel where I've given people almost a week in advance this particular day, Thursday, and this particular time I started, which is 1 p.m. Central Time. So I'm interested to see how many people show up for this live stream now that they know almost a week in advance the day and the exact time I'm going to be starting. I think pretty much every live stream I do will be a minimum an hour. And then I guess if the conversation or whatever, if the event is going well and where everyone's just having such a wonderful time, I'm not opposed to going over an hour or whatever. But I think an hour minimum, if there's adequate, decent participation, is something that is a decent amount of time for every show every week. Fake Shemp Taboo says, yeah, sometimes I'm late to the game with Vinegar Syndrome. I just discovered Vinegar Syndrome had a movie called Runaway Nightmare with a 4K scan. Really cool, weird movie, but sold out. Have you heard of it? I have not. And that's something I think I talked about last week. It's like, yeah, that's a bummer. Sometimes you don't find out about a really cool movie on Blu-ray until the limited edition of it is already sold out, and then you get to go to eBay and decide whether or not to spend $100 on it or not. I've never spent $100 on a Blu-ray that went out of print or whatever, but I think I spent, well, I don't want to say, but it was under $50 for the Forest Blu-ray that I got, I think a couple of years ago on eBay, the first Blu-ray of The Forest that came out. As I've said, I think last week, I'm just a huge fan of that movie since I was like 16 years old or something, and it was worth it to pay under $50 for the Blu-ray. And the Blu-ray is definitely an improvement over the first DVD that came out. And like I said last week, if people haven't watched that video or listened to the video, I should say, since this is huge movie fanatic radio, they're going to be releasing The Forest on Blu-ray again in March, I think. I want to say it's March 8th or something. I think it's, so if you missed out on the first Blu-ray, I think it's Code Red in association with Kino Lorber, possibly. But I'm thinking of getting it, even though I paid, an exorbitant, quote-unquote exorbitant amount for the out-of-print first one, just because I love the cover. As I said last week, the cover of the upcoming Blu-ray is much more mirrors the theatrical poster of the movie, much more so than any of the cover arts of any of the DVDs or Blu-rays that have come out, up until this point. So I'm sure it won't have any extra features or anything. I'm sure it'll just be the same disc, but I don't know. I really love the original theatrical poster for The Forest. And I did look since last week. I think I had someone in here last week that hadn't seen it, and I was talking to them about it. And it is, in fact, I think someone did put the Blu-ray transfer of The Forest on YouTube, but I think you got to sit through ads. Like, I started watching it, and like within the first minute or something, like it was ad will begin in 5, 4, and I'm just like, I'm out of there. But if you want to sit through an ad every freaking minute or however, often minutes pop up to watch the Blu-ray version of The Forest on YouTube, as of last week anyway, or whatever, last time I checked, you've got the option to do so. So it's definitely better than blind buying it and regretting it, sitting through some ads, I guess. As I take a drink of water, it's winter and dry and all this and that. Wade Wilson says, why hasn't Kindred come out on Blu-ray? Copyright issues. I guess I've got no idea. I think Kindred, is that the one where like the VHS box has the cover like a monster in a baby bottle or something? Maybe it's not a baby bottle. It's like a jar or something, a glass jar. Let's see. Snap. Hey, Nate, watching from Dublin, Ireland. Greetings. Love the reviews. Joe, thank you very much for joining and commenting. Wade Wilson says, yeah, baby bottle. So I got it right. That is insane. I said baby bottle first, and then I'm like, it can't be a baby bottle. But I was right. Very cool. Wade Wilson owns the Kindred on Laserdisc. Very cool. I mean, is that like the, was that Vestron Video that put that out originally? Which home video label is that Laserdisc? I don't know how to say your username. Snap says Rod Steiger was in Kindred. I'm pretty sure I've seen it, but it's been a while. Wade Wilson says, not sure, might have been Vestron. Yeah, I want to say it was Vestron. I've got the original tape, but I haven't seen it for a while. I just love the fact that there's all these 70s and 80s horror movies and sci-fi movies, enough to last our lifetimes, because gosh knows, in my opinion anyway, the movies that come out these days aren't even worth watching for free, let alone paying for. Wade Wilson says, I can stream it for you guys if you want me to. Oh, okay. You mean the photo? I don't know how that stuff works. I captured on Laserdisc. I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I appreciate the offer to stream the movie, but I don't think that's necessary. Thank you very much, Wade Wilson. Fake Shem Taboo says, do y'all have a favorite Blu-ray company who makes your favorite Blu-ray covers? I love those Blue Underground 3D covers. Yeah, I'm too cheap to buy. I'm assuming you're referring to those like deluxe editions that are like a lot of money with 3 discs, including the soundtrack. I'm too cheap to buy any of those. I really want the zombie one, but I'm too cheap to buy them. Yeah, C Snap says, yeah, 70s and 80s were the best for horror. I know. What I love, once again, repeating myself, what I love about it is there's enough movies from the 70s and 80s, horror movies and stuff, and goofy sci-fi to last our lifetime. So that's just really great, because the older I get, the less I like the new stuff, which is, I think it just happens with every generation. It's nothing new in regards to just everything, media, music, stuff like that. I mean, it's probably rare that you're going to find a 70 or 80-year-old that listens to whatever the kids are listening to now, Fake Shemp Taboo is crying with joy. Emoji. C-Snap says, I miss the VHS cover art, was usually way better than the film itself. That's true, especially with full moon movies in the 90s. You know what was so pathetic about full moon movies in the 90s for me? Was like, more often times than not, maybe not at the beginning of full moon, but later on in the mid-90s and stuff, you're like halfway through a full moon movie, and I find myself wanting to just fast, can't wait for the making of, because a lot of times in the 90s, the making of the full moon movie was a lot more interesting than the full moon movie itself. So that's what I found myself doing, like watching Castle Freak in 94 or whenever the hell it came out. I'm like, yeah, I can't wait for the Video Zone, because this is kind of cool, but come on. Another thing about like 70s and 80s posters / VHS cover art is it's like they were most oftentimes, more than not, paintings. And they were really, really beautiful works of art compared to this, floating heads, just computerized. Let's see, I'll take this guy's head, put it here, this guy's head, put it there, and, in front of a backdrop of the ocean or whatever. And it's just like, give me a break. Wade Wilson says they need to put Night Flyers and Nightlife on Blu-ray, which are 2 movies stuck on Laserdisc. Not too sure I've heard of either of those, but I mean, I'm all with you on stuff that's, on either VHS or Laserdisc that's never made it to DVD or Blu-ray. C-Snap says, are you a fan of Tourist Trap? Oh my gosh. You asked that question knowing that I'm a huge fan of it, didn't you? I could go on and on and on about Tourist Trap. I think that is probably, I've said it before, it's probably the best thing that Charles Band has his name attached to. Tourist Trap, in my opinion, is like the best PG horror movie ever. It's just so freaking amazing. The atmosphere, the music, I don't know how to say his last name, Pino Donaggio or whatever. I'm a huge fan of that. I saw it for the first time when I was 14. I was at a buddy's house and he had cable, and we were just flipping through channels or something, and all of a sudden he flipped to this scene of this movie where this girl's entering this dark room where some goofy mannequin-like thing is sitting in the chair, and she's slowly approaching it, and it turns around and, thrusts its arms up and freaks her out, and then she's attacked by some, Chuck Connors and stuff. And I was loving it, but my friend was like, this is so stupid. And I'm just like, and I went home and I looked at the TV guide to find out what it was. And I'm like, yes, Tourist Trap. But I went to a mom and pop video store and rented it. And not all in the same day, But sometime later, I went to a mom and pop video store, rented it, and recorded it. But duplicated it. Tourist Trap is an absolute masterpiece, and it's a really a bummer that I'm really grateful for the first DVD that came out. But from what I hear, the first Blu-ray is dodgy and missing parts, and I think Full Moon's putting out a new Blu-ray, but I think it's also said to be dodgy. So it's a bummer that, from what I know, there hasn't been a decent Blu-ray of Tourist Trap put out. Oh my God, the comments, I can't even keep up. I don't think I'll even, let's see here. Both are horror movies from, oh, okay. So Wade Wilson says in regards to Night Flyers and Night Life on Blu-ray, both are horror movies from the 80s. That's very cool. Yeah, Tourist Trap, great soundtrack. La na 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 na. I think I'm doing it wrong, but then what's his name? Richard Band would go on to rip off that theme for his little Puppet Master thing. La 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 la. I'm doing that wrong. Yeah, Gary Page says Tanya Roberts, exactly. Who just recently was reported to have died, and then oops, nope, she didn't, and then oops, she did, and it's just like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, I got the off eBay years ago, the original soundtrack vinyl LP of Tourist Trap. Full Moon has since put out like the CD soundtrack or whatever, but that's just like Pino Donaggio or Donaggio or however the hell you say his last name. It's one of those last names again. Is just a master score writer, and yeah, Tourist Trap is, like I say, I mean, I was really bummed when I found out that it was PG, because I was hoping that Tiny Roberts would, those little, whatever, halter top puppies would come out of their halter top in the movie. But I was like, damn it, it's PG. I saw on the cover. I'm like, unless it's a non-sexual situation, we're probably not going to be seeing those things pop out of the halter top. It's just a bummer. But Wade Wilson says Orr was a great actor. I don't know. Chuck Connors is great actor. Right. He was great in. I mean, I haven't seen him in a lot of stuff. I mean, pretty much just Tourist Trap and Summer Camp Nightmare. But he was absolutely amazing in Tourist Trap. And then the guy who played Davy, or I always thought it was Chuck Connors doing it, but I guess some guy played Davy and did the voice and all that stuff. And if you guys don't know, you can actually get, like, on fullmoondirect.com, they got like a little half-ass, like, quote unquote, Mr. Slauson action figure with a removable mask. And it's just, I mean, it's probably like, I don't know if it's 2 or 3 inches, probably not even 3 inches tall. It's just one of those really stupid, cheap things they've been selling, like they did with the laser blast little aliens and stuff. It's just like, oh my God. But, I mean, I'm so much of a fan of Tourist Trap, I can almost see, I kind of want that, but I don't really want to pay what it probably costs plus shipping. C-Snap says, are you a fan of Amityville 2, The Possession? I was a huge fan of that movie when I was 14 and just discovering the Amityville movies. I did a review of those movies, like, I think in 2018 in the spring, of the Amityville movies that I've seen or had access to at the time. And having rewatched it again at the time, I mean, I really like the first, I don't know if it's the first hour or whatever, maybe it's only the first half, but then the last half or whatever after he kills his family is really boring to me. But I think the first half of it or whatever, up until he kills the family, is really well done. And I love how it's like made by an Italian, so it's really cool visually. So I'm absolutely a fan of Amityville 2. I love the first 3 movies. After that, you can pretty much forget about it more or less, except for Zoe Trilling on Amityville 4: The Evil Escape. She's makes that movie a little bit more watchable. Fake Taboo says, oh yeah, +1 for Amityville 2 from me, exactly. And yeah, talking about 3D, of course, back when I reviewed them, I got back when, and it seemed like it was not long after I got my 3D TV that Scream/Shout Factory put out the trilogy with. I was just so grateful that they put out the 3D version of 3 for actual, Blu-ray 3D players, because that's a treat to own and be able to watch. Not that I watch it very often, but exactly, 3D was bad good. I'm right with you there. And having watched it years ago when I reviewed it, I was amazed. I was surprised how good the music is. In the first, like, the music for the opening credits sequence and stuff, I really liked the music. grabbing a drink of water, dry throat, winter time. But and it was so funny in the opening credits of Amityville 3D when the camera is tracking and stuff, and it's all scary and spooky, and then so you can tell some guy is just like walking with the camera, and he's got a twig that he just puts in front of the camera every now and then. It's just so funny. And then the guy who does the music puts a little ding 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 when he puts the stick in. C-Snap says 3D was bad good. Exactly. And I think it was Meg Ryan's first movie, and the monster that comes out of the Satan well and blows fire into the poor guy's face, burning his face. And then the dead skeleton in the burnt up car that, you know, they open the door and it kind of turns and leans out with its arms outstretched in you know, pure early 80s 3D fashion, cheese fashion. Wade Wilson says, have you ever seen Friday the 13th TV series? Oh God. I don't think I ever gave it any time of day because it had nothing to do with Jason. So although I have seen back when they first started the Freddy's, what the hell was the name of the Freddy TV series? Freddy's Nightmares. I have seen a little bit of that back when it aired because it actually had Freddy in it, but I don't think I gave Friday the 13th the series a shot whatsoever. So the answer to that would be no. And you know, I kind of do want to get the DVDs or whatever, but again, I don't know. They've just got so much stuff, and you know, collectors and movie geeks like us have piles of stuff unopened and unwatched as it is. I just never got around to you know, checking out Friday the 13th, the series, but I'd check it out if it were like on Amazon Prime for free. C-Snap says regarding Amityville 3D, yep, Meg's first, and she was kind of cute in that movie, and so was that other the brunette chick too. You know, the one thing that's really sad about that movie is when that brunette chick character dies. She like drowns, and then her ghost comes back in the house looking all wet. I mean, there's some really cool aspects to Amityville 3D, as stupid as the movie kind of is in general. That was actually really sad. I was like, because when a movie is really stupid and you're watching it and something actually like poignant happens or sad, it's like, oh my God, it takes you by surprise because you don't expect this stupid movie to affect you that way. Wade Wilson says, give it a chance. The name's a gimmick, but it's actually an entertaining show. Yeah, my intention was was definitely to give it a chance. But like I said, having so many piles of discs, you know, that are either unwatched or unopened and unwatched, it's just like, eh. And I know good old John D. LeMay's in it or whatever. I don't doubt that it's a cool show, especially if it's like from the late 80s and stuff, just for its nostalgic factor at this point would be cool on its own. Well, thank you very much, Wade Wilson, for the recommendation. I'm sure it's cool. And being older now, I'm not as picky about the fact that it doesn't have Jason in it. As a matter of fact, supposedly Sean Cunningham's ideas for any Friday the 13th sequels following the first one was to just be a different, completely different topic regarding, was it the holiday or something like that? Or not the holiday, but the day of Friday the 13th, having to be completely different. Like if he had his way, Friday the 13th Part 2 might have been about some billionaire in Manhattan or something who was cheating on his wife, and his wife was cheating on some stupid story that's not, has anything to do with being in the woods with any kind of, I was going to say hockey mask, where the first movie didn't have a hockey mask either, but you know what I'm saying. C-Snap says the swordfish on the wire at the end. Oh, right. We're talking about Amityville 3D. Yes, the end was so fun when 3D gimmicks and things flying through the air at speeds that are too slow to fly through the air on. And oh my gosh, I think some of the 3D gimmicks they did on Amityville 3D are some of the funniest that I've seen. Like, just like, what can we put into the camera? What can we point at the camera? Especially at the end, like you say, yes, the swordfish of death. Summerhill Cinema 700 is here. Welcome. Thanks for showing up. Amityville 3D, another example of a movie that's artwork is better in the film itself. There you go, with the generic scary hand coming out of was it a window of the house or whatever? The thing in the 80s, well, I actually didn't get into Amityville until I was 14, so that would have been early 90s. But the disappointing thing about Amityville 3D was for me is you rented at a video store this VHS tape, and it says on the cover Amityville 3D because it's the title. But it's like, as a 14-year-old, it's like, okay, well, where are the glasses? Like, how does this 3D? You know, I mean, you give me a break. I was 14, but I almost feel like, you know, when they put it on tape, they should have just called it Amityville 3, you know, on the box, because for little kids, you know, they're going to be like, we didn't get glasses with this rental. Then the teenage store clerk would have to sigh and go, oh, the tape's not in 3D. It's just the title of the movie. Wade Wilson says Friday the 13th Part 3 in 3D had that stupid gimmick with a baseball bat pointing out of the screen. Oh, I agree. I'm not going to say that Friday the 13th Part 3 is the ultimate masterpiece of 3D horror schlock early 80s cinema. It does the same thing. But you got to love, yeah, I mean, you got to love the early 80s 3D gimmick stuff. Have you, any of you seen... you don't even need to see the 3D version of it, but what the hell is it? The one I reviewed about, you know, years ago, Scream Factory, Shout Factory put out the 3D Blu-ray of it. Oh crap! I can't. Is it Metal Storm: The Destruction of Jared Sin? It's got this amazing 3D scene where after a character walks out of frame or drives away or something, the camera tracks into this bush, and the closer it gets to the bush, the more the bush pushes out. I'm talking about a plant bush, not a female appendage. The more the plant bush's branches are you know, coming out of the screen in 3D might be one of the most pathetic 3D moments in cinema history. C-Snap says, any fans of Cronenberg's The Brood? I don't I don't know. Fake Shemp Taboo is crying with laughter once again. I'm not sure if I've seen The Brood. I can definitely have an idea of the cover of that. I'm not sure if I have it on VHS or not. Gary Page says, Bush, ha ha ha. Fake shampoo or fake shampoo. Fake Shemp Taboo says he has never seen The Brood. Yeah, I feel like I can kind of recollect the cover art of The Brood, but I don't think I've seen it if I had to take a guess. C-Snap says Oliver Reed is in it. And for those of you who weren't with me from the beginning, I just, you know, if you watched the last week's broadcast, I actually did remember a bottle of water this time. I didn't have a list of topics because I gave, you know, ample time in advance of my day and time of doing this, that maybe I'd have enough people show up in the comments and start talking where I wouldn't need topics. And that, in fact, happened. So that was very, very, very cool. So C-Snap says in regards to, let's see here, what the hell we talk, The Brood. It's pretty grim, but worth a watch. I don't doubt it. I mean, I'm sure that there's a lot of great horror movies from the yesteryear that I haven't seen. And that's what kind of keeps me going, to be honest. The fact that, you know, there's always a great old movie to see for the very first time. Gary Page asks, Parasite 3D, bad or good? I reviewed that in the years ago. Was it 2 years ago maybe at this point? I think it was 2019. The, whatchamacallit, Kino Lorber put that out on a Blu-ray with the 3D version for people with 3D TVs. And so if you want to check out that review I did at a later time, feel free to do so. But I can say right now that I don't know if you're referring to the movie or the 3D quality in regards to being bad or good, but I can definitely say that the Blu-ray is great. You know, it's early 80s Charles Band, so the movie's not very good, but the 3D, especially if you have a way to see it in 3D, makes the movie definitely watchable. And to be honest, like, is it Richard Van who's doing the music on that thing? I don't know. It's got a charm to it. Parasite, if you haven't seen the movie, has a charm to it. And like I say, if you've got a means to watch it in 3D, it's a no-brainer. I think it's like $20. I mean, the disc is really cheap. Fake Shemp Taboo says, I have Parasite 3D. Oh my God, I love that opening fight scene in slow-mo. Yes, that's something I talked about in my review of it. Is, you know, say what you will about Charlie Band, the fight scenes in 3D and slow-mo were awesome because you have one of the things that's a bummer about, you know, kinetic or quick scenes in 3D is the stuff goes too fast. You don't have the time to relish the 3D moments. And what was great about the fight scenes in slow motion 3D is the slow motion provides you with an opportunity to really truly relish the 3D moments of debris and stuff flying out at the camera as, you know, people are thrown through windows and stuff. Exactly. Good call there, Fake Shem Taboo, on the 3D slow-mo fight scenes. C-Snap says, watch Just Before Dawn with George Kennedy. Well worth the watch, slasher from 81. Exactly. I love that movie and watched it last year in May, and I didn't even really occur to me until after the fact that I watched it in Pisces, and it's kind of it's even wait, is Pisces the twins? No, Pisces ain't the twins. What, I don't know. The one character with the camera says Gemini the twins. Yeah. So I think May is the time of Gemini or whatever, and it was just kind of cool after the fact that I watched that during Gemini. That's cool. But yeah, I was kind of lukewarm to Just Before Dawn when I first saw it, but that's definitely growing on me. And I reviewed the. It seems like there's a lot of different Blu-ray versions of it out, but I reviewed what the hell did I get on eBay years ago? Did I get the 88 Films Blu-ray of Just Before Dawn? And what's really cool, and I reviewed this version, is that it's got two cuts on there. You've got you know, the normal version, and then like the longer version. I don't know if it's called international cut or something, but what's really cool about that, in addition to seeing extra scenes or extra parts of scenes and stuff, more footage, is that it's a really kind of a trashy, you know, midnight screening, quote unquote, grindhouse looking print, which really adds to it as well. So that's a great release. I think pretty much every Blu-ray of it has both cuts. So, and it seems to me like there's 2 or 3 Blu-rays of it put out by different outfits and stuff, but Just Before Dawn has become over the years one of my favorites, and it's got a pre-Terminator score by, what the hell's his name? I can't think of his name right now, but the guy who would go on to do Terminator music. And you can definitely hear, you know, that it's that guy who did the music. And it's so funny for being such a low budget movie that they paid to have that famous song by Blondie in it. What a waste of money. It probably cost half of the movie's budget or more to pay for that song. I don't know who's idiot that came up with that idea. Summerhill Cinema 700 says, what are your thoughts on the upcoming Halloween movie, Halloween Kills? Looks like some more of the cast from the original are going to star in the film. Yeah, I was disappointed that we couldn't freaking see it last year. I really hope we can see it this year. It's one of the only upcoming movies that I care about one way or another. But, you know, I think just like with the 2018 movie, it's going to have cool elements, but I think as a whole, you know, it's going to probably suck. And what I really worry about is because they didn't kill that main star's boyfriend in the last movie, I don't want that character to pop up again. And if he does, please kill him violently, because that guy just, ugh. But to answer your question, Summerhill Cinema 700, I guess I kind of already did. It's one of the movies I guess I'm probably most excited for, and it was a real bummer we couldn't see it last October. So I'm obviously expecting it to be overall crap, but I think there's going to be elements of it that are going to make Halloween fans go, oh, wow. You know, because apparently, I don't know a lot about it, but apparently, you know, there might be scenes that they filmed that are like flashbacks to the original movie, and I don't know. It's going to be cool to see that chick who played Lindsay in it. And I don't know. You know, I liked aspects of the 2018 movie. And I'm okay with, you know, a sequel to that movie. I'm excited in a, I don't know, lukewarm fashion. Wade Wilson says, I own that version of Just Before Dawn. It's a great movie. I'm glad you do, because that is the version to have with those 2 cuts and stuff. I've often said in videos or reviews that I talk about when a release has like two different versions, like the Screams of a Winter Night one, and one of them's kind of, grindhousey and all, rough around the edges. I always thought that, that'd be cool, even if a movie doesn't have any more footage, to put out releases of a movie with a pristine print and then put out another one with a well-worn print, just to do like I don't really like the word grindhouse because I think it's overused. So what the word I say is the quote unquote midnight screening version, where you can have this option to watch this version from a horribly aged and used print just for that midnight screening effect. C-Snap says, must check out the other cuts. Cool. I'm assuming you're referring to Just Before Dawn. Gary Page says, it's a great film, underrated. I'm assuming you're referring to Just Before. Brad Fidel, thank you very much, C-Snap. He's the guy who did the music for Terminator, and before Terminator did the music for Just Before Dawn. And it's so funny, the music. In a way, it doesn't fit the movie necessarily, but over the years, it's grown on me. The music in Just Before Dawn with that. Yes, that was my attempt at doing the little whistly theme. Summer Hill Cinema 700 says agreed. I'm assuming he's agreeing to my thoughts on the upcoming Halloween. One thing that it's just like, how the hell are you going to do two? I can see doing a sequel to the 18 movie, but two movies? And I'm not even, did they even film the third one yet? I'm under the impression that they only filmed the second one. It would have made sense to film both of them at the same time, I would think. But I can only assume Summer Hill Cinema 700, agrees with my stance on it, where it's like half excited, and then, the other half of you, there's the realistic side of you that's like, yeah, it's going to be more lame attempts at being a humorous movie and a comedies, combined with quote unquote horror. Wade Wilson says the 88 films comes with a book, and I like the red case. Yeah, a booklet, I'm assuming you're talking about, versus a book. I think you're right. Yeah, I think that's the one I have and reviewed. See, I think I reviewed the movie in the woods, like I was standing in the woods and reviewed it, and then I didn't get the Blu-ray. Like doing the review made me want to get the Blu-ray, so then I got the Blu-ray, and then I reviewed the Blu-ray separately. So I think that's how that works. But you definitely check out my review of that release if you haven't and are so inclined to do so or interested. C-Snap says another George Kennedy classic is Death Ship. Any fans? I think I just watched that on Amazon Prime for free. I'm afraid to say I was pretty bored with it. I'm afraid. Did that movie also have shit? I can't think of his name right now. The guy from Rambo's Keeper, I want to say, Richard Crenna. I'm afraid to say I saw that recently on streaming, and yeah, didn't do much for me. But that's just me. C-Snap says, no, it's great. I hear you. I've got no taste. Big Shemp Taboo says, yeah, I have low expectations like you regarding Halloween sequels to 2018. I'm still excited to see it, or still see it, Halloween Kills, but Halloween 2018 was pretty forgettable for me, except for the cop pumpkin head. That was brutal. That was such an awesome idea. That was probably the best thing about that movie. It was cutting off a cop's head and carving it like a pumpkin and putting a flashlight in the bottom of the neck, so you light up the eyes and the mouth and the nose. How is it that it took like 40 years for a Halloween movie to do that? I mean, that's the one good contribution that movie did. C-Snap says, yes, Krenna. Okay. But I just watched last October, Halloween 2018 again, and my contention is like the setup is great. But then it's like in him getting the costume and the mask at the gas station and all that is great. But then it's like once it just cuts to like Haddonfield Halloween at dark, and he's walking around and goes through the backyard to get the hammer and comes through the house and kills, and then goes into the other house back through the back and kills this random woman. It's just like, for me, that's where the movie just kind of goes to shit. Up until then, I think it actually is pretty good. And then And I kind of like the end, but for repeat viewings, like the Laurie Strode, shutting off room by room and looking around on repeat viewings is a little long and uninteresting. Fake Shemp Taboo says, I tried to start Death Ship, but always tuned out in a few minutes. Yeah, I'm kind of I kind of agree with Fake Shemp Taboo. I've got OCD, so I can't. It's hard for me to. I pretty much can't stop a movie once I start it. I'm sure I have, but part of you wants to make sure you're not going to miss anything. But I mean, I don't know. Anyway, long story not so long. I did the whole thing of Death Ship, but in my opinion, sorry, C-Snap, I have to agree with Fake Shemp Taboo. For me, there wasn't a lot going on in Death Ship. Wade Wilson says, I know I've seen Death Ship, but I forget everything about it, so I think huge movie fanatics and I have similar tastes. It's very possible. Death Ship is probably one of those movies that is either you hate it or you love it. And I'm of the former category, I'm afraid. C-Snap says, any fans of actor Wings Hauser? I think the only thing I've seen him in was The Carpenter, which I just rewatched on Prime within the last year, and that's a funny movie. I actually got the Laserdisc of The Carpenter in the '90s. I still have got. I think this year, once I resume shooting of reviews, because I'm currently not shooting reviews, I'll probably do some more showcasings of Laserdisc and showcase the Laserdisc of The Carpenter, starring Wings Hauser. Maybe I'll do a movie / Laserdisc showcasing video. I should probably review the movie too. But I think The Carpenter is the only thing I've seen Wings Hauser in. Wade Wilson says, is he an actor in The Carpenter horror movie? I think I already answered that question. Summerhill Cinema 700 says, I really didn't like the bathroom scene in Halloween 2018 when Michael drops all those teeth on the ground. It felt more like a Rob Zombie movie or something. I agree 100%, and if it were possible, 110%. Exactly. The whole the bloody teeth thing on the ground was right out of it. It almost felt like a shot or a moment that they cut from a Rob Zombie Halloween movie and put in this one. I didn't like that moment, but like the brutality of the scene, like when he was killing the British guy, I thought I liked that part of the bathroom scene. But, and yeah, I agree with you, Summerhill. There's things about the bathroom scene that aren't so great, but then I guess the brutality of the British guy kill I thought was cool. You don't see that in horror movies anymore. It was just cool to see that. C-Snap says, check out The Mutant and The Wind, great Wings movies. Okay, let me read this again. Check out Mutant and The Wind, great Wings movies, laugh out loud. Okay, I think I've heard of Mutant, but not so much The Wind. When you type The Wind, I think of the cover for Demon Wind. I don't think I've seen that movie, but I know the cover. Wade Wilson says he is also in that movie Mutant. Ah, yes, another question answered before it was asked. I love Laserdiscs. I prefer them over Blu-ray because I'm a weirdo. No, that's more power to you. I mean, to me, as more time goes on, it's almost like, I almost find myself drawn to watching VHS and Laserdisc more and more because it just, once again, as someone who's getting on in years, it's like it just harkens back to those days of yesteryear, or days of old. You don't have to call yourself a weirdo because you like Laserdisc, but in this era of freaking 4K and soon to be who knows what other K, stick it up your KK. VHS and Laserdisc is still perfectly fine. And when you watch a tape, it's just like, what? In this HD era, I mean, a tape is still a perfectly watchable thing. To say nothing about Laserdisc, there's this. I talked about this in my showcasing of Laserdisc last year. There's something so quaint about a film to tape transfer from the 80s. It's just like, wow. It's so archaic, but it's almost, it's good enough. I mean, you get the point across, and there's something that's almost beautiful. I suppose it's because it's, my generation and I grew up with these transfers, but there's something almost beautiful about the archaicness of 80s film to tape transfers. for me. You know, it's like, I don't know. It's like too shiny and digital and crisp is just boring to me. Wade Wilson says, damn, I'm slow. Nah. I mean, chat, you know, while you're typing, you know, someone answers a question. It's understandable. Summerhill Cinema 700 says, true, it's certainly brutal, referring to the kill of the British guy in Halloween 2018. I was just thinking about it the other day, though. I got 2 thumbs up. Thank you very much for this video. I was just thinking about it the other day, that that killing where Michael's going in and out of houses, you know, from the back and out the front, and then he goes out in the front, and or no, he takes a peek in, and then he goes around the back, comes in the back, and stabs that woman, you know, in that house, and just kills her. I mean, it's just like, God, that's just so B-movie-ish to like just kill a character who, I don't know. I just, and then, you know, the CG kill of the knife through the back of the woman's head or neck, or pardon me, I'm drinking water, face or whatever. It's just like, ugh, I don't know. Killing that character who was just there to kill, just, I was just thinking about it the other day, and just, I don't know. If killing these people who, you know, they just show up to just be victims, if that's, you know, any good or whatever. Here I'm all getting all whatever about whatever. This is a problem with horror fans, and you know, I'm getting all, God, I can't even think of what I'm getting all. I'll just stop. Gary Page says, after Halloween 2, 1981, the sequels went downhill. Halloween 3 was interesting. I agree. I saw Halloween 4 when it was relatively new on home video, and a buddy of mine and I watched it, and I'm like, he was all loving it and stuff, and Michael was smashing the guy's head against the, you know, the van, or the, what's he called, the guy calls it a bus, but the ambulance, and, you know, pokes his thumb into his head. I'm like, what the fuck? This isn't Michael Myers. So I agree. I mean, for me, Michael was dead after the second movie. But one thing I do appreciate about the 2018 movie is I do feel like it's the, you know, the best version of Michael since the, you know, the original Part 2 movie. But unfortunately, they don't do much good with them, which is the bummer. Summerhill Cinema 700 says, I love Halloween 3 if you look at it as a standalone film. I agree. That was a movie that got a lot of hate in the 80s and the 90s, but has gotten quite the strong fan base over the years, and I think rightfully so. And Summerhill Cinema is a lucky owner of the 3-figure trick-or-treaters as well, the NECA, which I think is going for ridiculous amounts of money now, the NECA 3 trick-or-treaters with the witch and skull and pumpkin mask. C-Snap says, any fans of Australian horror? My recommendation is The Long Weekend, 1978, great atmosphere, creepy as hell. I can't say, I don't think I've necessarily seen any Australian horror. The only thing I can think of is this goofy, I don't even know if it's a horror movie, this goofy movie called Inn of the Damned. It's like a Western movie, and it's, I think, made in Australia. I don't know if anyone's seen Inn of the Damned, but it's got this pretty cool theme that they play, it seems like every other minute, but it's a good Western theme. It's like dun 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 dun. I can't do it. It goes like dun 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 dun. Gary Page, first beta VHS, or first beta versus VHS, now DVD versus Blu-ray versus 4K. Exactly. There's always got to be something. I don't know if you're familiar with three thumbs up now. Thank you very much. I don't know if you're familiar with you know, the birth of DVD, but when DVD came out, it was DVD versus DivX or DVIX or however the hell they spelt it. The pay-per-play disc format, where it's like 4 thumbs up. Thank you very much. Where you could get this movie on a disc, DVD kind of a disc, and you could watch it, I think, for free for the first 48 hours, but after that you had to pay to watch it from then on out, which was such a stupid, pathetic idea. And anyone who bought a DVIX player and a DVIX disc, I swear, they've, oh, I don't want to insult anyone here. I'll just leave it at that. Fake Shemp Taboo says, one thing about DVD and Blu-ray which I really love is the 24 HRZ really makes me feel like I'm watching it at a theater. Are you talking about like the 20? What are you referring to? The frame rate or something? HRZ hertz? I'm not exactly sure what you're talking about, but yeah, personally, I'm not a fan of like the anything beyond 24 frames a second for movie watching. I think it looks like live fake crappy TV. So I'm glad that the higher frame rates for movie thing really didn't take off. Wade Wilson says, I love all the Freddy and Jason movies with the exception of Jason X. Jason X has some great kills, but Jason in space is too ridiculous for me personally. I agree with you. I like it. I like Jason X more or less just for it's like I don't regard it or refer to it as a Friday 13th or necessarily even a Jason movie. It's almost like just an imagination of like if some teenager was imagining the most ridiculous Jason movie. I mean, that's what Jason X is. So, I mean, for me, it's a love, well, and not a love, a hate like relationship with Jason X. It's got really great, or not atmosphere, but things about it, but it's mostly ridiculous. C-Snap says, huge Halloween 3 fan. I used to own a Scream used pumpkin mask from the movie, which I sold years ago. Oh my God. I don't care if you're starving on the streets. You shouldn't have sold that thing. Man, oh man. Oh my God. He's crying about it. I can understand that. Summerhill Cinema 700 says, yeah, the Halloween 3 action figures are very cool. And you are right. Scalpers are selling them on eBay now for ridiculous amounts. I'll tell you a quick little story about those figures. I bought them at Target last year. And then I'm like, I don't want to, it was like $50. And I'm like, I don't want to, this is way too much money. And then I returned it. And then I kind of didn't know if I made a good choice by returning it, but my girlfriend ended up finding one of them and bought one for herself. So that's I feel a little better about that, knowing that I can look at them if I want to. But I think I'd feel regretful if, she hadn't got one herself, me having got it and returned it. I was a cheap bastard, and like $50 is a lot. Like, I don't know. So I bought it, returned it, and she bought it. So I kind of have, and I don't really have it, but I have access to it if I want to look at and she's one of these people who will, not take things out of the box. So we're good in that regard. Fake Shemp Taboo says 24 hertz instead of, I think you're talking about, I think you're referring to the frame rate. I don't know what maybe you are talking about. Okay. I don't know. Okay. Well, I'll just say, cool. 24 hertz instead of the video standard 60 hertz. So I guess it's just, it's something that I guess I'm not even familiar with, but thank you very much for the info. C-Snap says, haha, I know. Oh, he's referring to his sold screen used pumpkin mask. I mean, holy crap. I hope you were starving on the streets for selling that thing. I mean, I'm not passing judgment. So gosh dang, it's almost an hour already. So I think we'll definitely keep going. This will be the first one that goes past an hour, because ending it at this point is just wouldn't be fair to any of us. So I guess we'll keep going as long as people, well, I mean, I'm not going to do this for the rest of my life, but I guess we'll go past the hour mark because this is pretty fun and a lot of people have showed up and a lot of contributors in the chat. I appreciate it. It's almost hard to, good thing you can scroll down, and it's almost hard to keep up with the chat, but I appreciate everyone's participation. We got 4 thumbs up. Thank you very much. This is really cool. So it pays to put out the day and time you're going to do it in advance, I think. And thanks to each and every one of you for showing up. This is cool. Wade Wilson says NTSC, I believe. Okay, he's getting all technical on us. Is 23.976 hertz, which is a little less than 24. Isn't 24 hertz PAL and NT's? Okay. If you can see the chat replay, you can read all that. I'm referring to the future if people are watching this back in the future. Thank you very much. 5 thumbs up. That's cool. Oh, Wade Wilson says, sorry, no, for getting technical, that's, hey, it's more power to you. And there's The only rules I kind of have in the live streams is keeping it cordial and be nice. And of course, so far that hasn't been a problem. So don't worry about getting technical. There might be people who, you know, watch this after the fact and watch the live chat replay who appreciate the technical stuff. It's not bad in one iota. So no apology needed. Fake Chimp Taboo says he's crying tears and he's like, nice, Wade. I'm assuming because he's apologizing for being, apologizing for being knowledgeable is not necessary. C-Snap, any fans of Carpenter's In the Mouth of Madness? I gotta tell you, man, I rented that on Laserdisc when it was new on video, and I'm not really a fan very much of anything like, oh God, I don't really like anything Carpenter necessarily past really early 80s. I mean, I guess They Live is a classic, especially in these crazy times and stuff, but I don't really like much Carpenter past early 80s, to be honest. I kind of feel like Carpenter, I don't know. I was gonna say something, and okay, I'll just say it. It's just my opinion. I kind of feel like Carpenter, especially once you get past the early 80s, I feel like he's kind of overrated. I don't want to piss people off, but for me, Carpenter after the 80s, I mean, from my experience, you can pretty much just forget about it. But I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I mean, this is all just our personal opinions. If people like In the Mouth of Madness or 90s Carpenter, go for it. But I mean, yeah. So I'm afraid not, C-Snap, or at least from me. Oh, in his opinion, it's his last good movie went to crap after. Well, I think it went to crap before, but we'll agree to disagree. But we can definitely agree about the crap after. But Summerhill Cinema 700 says, how about Prince of Darkness? Yeah, see, that's the one that I I haven't seen it, believe it or not. I haven't seen Prince of Darkness because the title never interested me, but it's something I probably really should see, Prince of Darkness. So Summerhill Cinema, good call on that, because that's the title that keeps coming up, and it's like, yeah, I should probably see it, especially with what's his name in it? What the hell's his name? Donald Pleasance. But see, I'm not a huge fan of the thing that puts me off to it is Donald Pleasance. Isn't he like a priest or something? I'm not a huge fan of like the evil forces, you know, like the spiritual stuff. So that's really why I haven't seen it. C-Snap says, great one. I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to, but that's okay. Uh-oh, Summerhill Cinema retracted a message. What did you say? That's the first retracted message I've seen on a huge Movie Fanatics radio broadcast. Now I'm really curious. You have to type it again. Just kidding. Wade Wilson says, I love the movie They Live, but it paints people like me as the aliens or the humans that are brainwashed. It is what it is. It's how I view many of them, but I guess that's how they view me. Yeah, that's the thing. I agree with you, Wade. That's the thing I don't really like about They Live, is it's a little too far from entertainment and too much to like a scary portrait of reality. And when a movie gets too much about reality and not just topless 20-something chicks at a camp, Crystal Lake, you know, being chased by a guy wearing a hockey mask, it gets to be not entertaining and just more like just preaching. Okay, C-Snap says a name that I'm not going to read out loud, and then he says, I mean, Pleasance. Ha, ha, ha. Gary Page says, They Live is great. No, I agree. It's great, but, you know, when a movie just hits too close to home for me, I don't know. I guess I already said my piece on it. Fake Shem Taboo says, I dig In the Mouth of Madness. I need to revisit Prince of Darkness. It's very slow but awesome style. I watched Escape from L.A. a few days ago, and boy, I never want to go through that again. Oh, yeah, I saw Escape from L.A. at a second-run theater in '96, and I'm like, oh my God. A buddy of mine was a big fan of the Escape from New York and was really, really looking forward to Escape from L.A. I think I I pretty much never saw him again after the movie came out, so I never could find out what he thought about it. But I can only assume he wasn't very impressed with it. The only thing that's cool about Escape from LA is like the new updated version of the classic Escape from New York theme was kind of cool. You know, just hearing an updated version that's, you know, over 10 years after the original theme was created. And you gotta love the theme for, you know what, I gotta review those two movies actually. Escape from New York and LA. I've never talked about them, I don't think. Summerhill 700 says spelling mistakes. Oh, okay. So he just doesn't want to be seen as a person who ain't known nothing how to spell. I get you. Well, I'm glad that's all it was because, yeah. C-Snap says Assault on Precinct 13 is a classic. What a soundtrack, too. Exactly. I think that's fun. That's fun. You know, boom, bano, bano. Boom, boom, bano, bano. Boom, bano, bano. Boom, boom, bano, bano. Boom, boom, boom. Okay, it just repeats after that. But that girl with the ice cream cone who just gets blasted. Now I just found out that's the sister of the girl who's in Halloween, the little girl. Because I'll review it later this year. I just bought and watched for the very first time The Car on Blu-ray. And both of those girls are in the movie, and they're sisters in the movie and real life sisters. So but I agree, Snap, about Assault on Precinct 13, the soundtrack. Oh, I gotta watch that movie again. I haven't seen it forever. Wade Wilson says, I'm assuming you mean They Live. He says, They Live to me feels like Carpenter is injecting a bit of right versus left politics in it. At least that's how I look at it. Maybe it's only how I view it. I enjoy the movie still. Yeah, I think it's more about, I don't really want to talk about it. You know, it's like anything. I mean, it's everything is in the eye of the beholder or whatever. Summerhill Cinema 700 says the best part of Escape from LA was the surfing scene with Peter Fonda. Yeah, that was, I don't know. I mean, that was kind of lame too, you know. Oh my God. What about Pam Grier being a former man? I mean, geez, Jiminy Christmas. That movie is just what's that word? What's that phrase? What do they say? Hot mess? I think that applies to that movie. Fake Shemp Taboo, Assault on Precinct 13 is my favorite John Carpenter movie. Well, that's very cool. I can see why. I mean, like I say, I gotta watch it. I haven't seen it forever. I gotta watch it again. Fake Shemp Taboo says, love the romance between Napoleon and the woman at the precinct. I hope for a romance like that in life. Oh, okay. Napoleon. Now, isn't that's that one, the criminal guy? Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. Wade Wilson says, sorry. Oh, I think you're talking. No, we don't have to. We don't have to apologize for bringing up things that I don't want to talk about. That's okay. No. Yeah, but They Live. Getting back to They Live briefly in response to Wade Wilson. Sorry. I mean, it's definitely a movie that can be seen from all kinds of different perspectives, I guess. I mean, yeah, it's definitely a movie that can be seen as being many different kinds of things, being interpreted in many different ways. I think I'm going to watch Assault on Precinct 13 tonight. I got to rewatch that and hear that music again and see the girl with the ice cream cone blasted off the face of the earth. C-Snap says, went to see John Carpenter play all the soundtrack lives. Oh, damn. If you guys get the chance to see him, it was a great gig. You know what? That sounds really, 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 really amazing. I personally, I'm not a fan of live music and crowds and stuff, but for people, I mean, that sounds really cool. And definitely lucky. I can only assume you did that like before last year, or was it in 2019, or was it before? I can only assume it was before 2020. But that is very, very, very cool. And it's really cool that he did that he's been doing that, you know, and like touring and like playing his, you know, music and stuff. Gary Page says, little girl getting the shot. Bloody hell was a shocker. I agree, man. When I first saw it, I'm like, holy crap. Did they do that? C-Snap says 2018 in Dublin, but toured Europe. Okay, that's really cool. Man, that is cool. I mean, how many people showed up to that? Do you have any idea? I mean, because in a way, I can't imagine John Carpenter's going to sell. Like, what kind of venue was that, if you have any idea at all? Can't imagine he'd sell a lot of tickets, but maybe I'm sold out, he says. Do you have any idea? How that doesn't matter. Cool. He says about 3,000. Wow. Okay. I guess I don't know anything about how popular he is. Boom, 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 boom. You know what I got on DVD for like $1 years and years ago at Half Price Books was, doesn't even have the full artwork, just a DVD of John Carpenter's Village of the Damned. And to me, that's like, oh my God, you just forget about it. It's like, oh my God. That's all I can say when I think about that movie, or when I bring it up, is just that phrase, oh my God. I just put in a little bit of it the other day, and I guess, oh my God, it's just going to come back out of my mouth again. But if anyone's seen John Carpenter's Village of the Damned, oh my God. I mean, if you like it, that's fine. C-Snap says, but charged €150 for an autograph meet and greet. Oh, yeah, see, I don't like that stuff. These people, come on. I think they're sitting pretty enough, and if they're not, that was their own frickin' financial mistakes for ending up that way. I don't agree personally with, or I don't think much of these, celebrities charging that kind of money for for an autograph and meet and greet. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. C-Snap says that was Christopher Reeve's last movie before his accident. Yeah, that's kind of a bummer. Referring to Village of the Damned from, I think, like 95 or something, John Carpenter remake. Uh-oh, Wade Wilson retracted a message now. We're starting a trend. They've got some radicals in the chat that are self-censoring. I'm just kidding. Fake Shemp Taboo says, oh, I actually like John Carpenter's The Ward. It has fun rewatchability and kinda has 70s filmmaking vibe. What did y'all think of Masters of Horror Show? I haven't seen Masters of Horror Show, but I do own the DVD of The Ward and have seen it once. And I can't remember much about it other than it's like, kind of, there's an award full of pretty attractive women, I think. But I think I remember it having, definitely had the John Carpenter feel to it, and definitely looked like a John Carpenter movie in regards to framing and camera setups and pacing and all that kinds of stuff. But as far as Masters of Horror Show, I haven't seen it. Wade Wilson says, what is the best killer doll or dolls movie? Good question. Would it be Puppet Master, Demonic Toys, Child's Play, Dolls, Dolly Dearest, or something else? That's a very, very, very good question. And wow, that's a good question. I don't know. I think Child's Play is definitely up there. Puppet Master is definitely up there. Demonic Toys is not so much up there. I'd say for me, Child's Play and probably Puppet Master would be like tied, because Child's Play is classic, but what I like about Puppet Master is they don't talk like that talking killer doll is, I don't know, can kind of get annoying really fast. So what's really cool about Puppet Master is like they don't talk. So killer dolls that don't talk to me are more scary than killer dolls that talk. And I'm not the biggest fan of dolls, like the movie dolls. But it's got its things. That's a really good question. Wade Wilson says, nah, I just edited my comment. That's why I deleted it. I hear you. I was just playing. I was just having fun. Wade Wilson doesn't censor myself. Well, way to go. No one should censor themselves, damn it. C-Snap. Doll says, Doll movie for me is Dolls. Best of all is Magic. Oh, yeah, I just watched that with Anthony Hopkins. Yeah, that's actually really good. From the guy who, directed by the guy who runs and owns Jurassic Park. Yeah, Dolls is, my only, I don't want to spoil Dolls, but my only problem with, or not Dolls, my only problem with Magic is, well, I guess I can't say it because I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it, so I'll leave it at that. But good call on, for bringing up Magic, C-Snap there. I guess without spoiling it, what I would say about Magic is, even though it's like, in a way, because of what I can't spoil it doesn't, you can't really compare it, in my opinion, to the other ones because of what I can't say, because I don't want to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen it. So I guess we'll leave it at that. But good call on bringing up Magic into the mix. Fake Shem Taboo says, I'd go with Child's Play 3, just have super fun memories with that one. Yeah, me too. Not that I'd go with Child's Play 3, but I have fun memories with it too, seeing it in the theater with my dad. Was fun. Don't fuck with the Chuck. I can remember a review by some quote-unquote critic in the paper who was just really commented on. He was probably talking down on the movie, and he was like, on this line, don't, and in the way he put it, he couldn't obviously write the word in the paper, but the way he was such an idiot, he couldn't even remember the line right. So he said it's a line, who the hell would watch a movie with a line where a doll says, don't fucky with Chucky? It's just like, that's not even the line. It's don't fuck with the Chuck, not don't fucky with Chucky. That's just so fucking funny. But Fake Shem Taboo he's on board with Child's Play 3. I mean, I really like that one too. I think there's something about it, and the whole military school and what they did at the end with him, putting real bullets in there versus blanks was really cool. You want war games, motherfucker? You're gonna get them. C-Snap says, I have a replica ventriloquist doll of Fats from Magic. That's very cool. Is that full-sized or a smaller version? That's really cool. Yeah, bringing up Magic, having recently rewatched it, that I would highly recommend that. It's almost like a full-length Twilight Zone episode. It's really great, and it's really a great movie. So thank you very much for bringing up Magic, because that's a great movie if anyone hasn't seen it and wants to see like a creepy ventriloquist doll movie. Wade Wilson says, does Joey count as a killer doll movie? I'm not exactly sure what Joey is. He continues, I forget if anyone gets killed in that movie, and does Joey count as a horror movie? I don't even know what Joey is. So I guess I couldn't answer that question. Summerhill Cinema 700 says, have you watched Intruder 1989? Fun 80s slasher with incredible special effects / kills. No, it's just weird how some movies I haven't seen that I've heard about for years and years and years. But I guess it goes back to that thing I was talking about earlier, where I've just got piles and piles of stuff. So it's hard. One really can't see everything at the end of the day, and that just happens to be one of these titles that I never seeked out yet or watched. But I'm very familiar with Intruder in the fact that it's got some like good gore effects and stuff. So thank you very much for bringing it up. But it's one that I have not had a chance to see yet. There's just too much to see and way too much free time. Wade Wilson, Joey 1985 is also known as Making Contact. Oh, okay. So Joey must be like a title that isn't from the United States, because Making Contact must be the United States title, because I'm familiar with that title. Okay. C-Snap says full size in regards to his Magic, his Fats replica doll from the movie Magic. Full size, the head is cast from the original mold. Gosh dang. So, well, I can't imagine that all the facial features do what the facial features do in the movie. That would be too cool. Does it do that, or is it just like static? Can you stick your hand? You know, can you do what the thing does in the movie? That'd be cool. Fake Shem Taboo says, yeah, Intruder is fun for the special effects alone. The story is not memorable to me, but the gore sure is. Yeah, there's a lot of movies like that. And I guess you can't really, you know, talk too much trash about them because at least they're doing something right. Summerhill Cinema 700 says, true, the grocery store setting is fun though. Fake Shimp Taboo says, totally, that's cool. People are talking amongst themselves. That's cool. C Snap says, they all work. It's fully wired up. Dang. That's crazy. That's very cool. Gary Page says, when was Child's Play a remake any good? Oh, okay. Good question. I actually saw the Child's Play remake. My girlfriend rented it from that box that is the color red. And oh my God. Oh God. It's so bad that I didn't even bother doing a review. I mean, one thing I will say about it is I guess it's kind of cool that they took a different route and went with AI versus a soul in the doll, but oh my God. I don't know. I can't remember much about it. I think it was a year ago now I've seen it, but as a whole, I didn't like it, but I can remember that there were things about it that were cooler. I guess the ideas behind it that were cooler than I expected, but as a whole, in my opinion, I mean, it's something that I'm never going to own and don't really ever need to see it again in regards to the Child's Play remake. That's my opinion of the short review of the Child's Play remake. C-Snap says, anyone fan of the Outpost movies, low budget English Nazi zombies? I can't say I'm familiar with those movies myself. Salad Man showed up and said a message and then retracted it. But anyway, welcome, Salad Man. Salad Man welcomes you, I guess. Well, thank you. We welcome Salad Man. Wade Wilson, I have a Child's Play on Blu-ray, the Scream Factory release, which is a 2K scan. Well, that's cool. I don't think I've got it on Blu-ray. I've just got a couple DVDs of Child's Play personally, and I don't know. I guess I never felt the need to upgrade to Blu-ray. But sometimes, gosh, that complete Child's Play collection Blu-ray, sometimes it goes on sale for $20, and there's been times where I almost bought it. C-Snap says, oh man, check out Outpost. You're welcome. Dun 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 dun. C-Snap says, how about Shockwave's 1970s Nazi zombies? Yes, I'm pretty sure I reviewed that movie years ago. I'm a fan of Shockwave. I think it has a really cool tropical island 70s vibe to it in the music. Kind of, I don't know if you'd really even call it music necessarily, but the whatever the hell you call it is very, 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 very cool. The electronic instrumentation, if you will. And it's that it's so funny that one guy who basically, does he get killed because of his claustrophobia? I don't know. But it's kind of an interesting point where someone would rather risk their lives out with, Nazi zombies than rather, because they're claustrophobic, they can't sit in a small room and save their life. And in doing so, they risk the lives of everyone else. That's kind of an interesting plot point. Summer Hill Cinema 700 says, I just bought Shockwaves. Might watch it today. Very cool. I feel like I should have the Blu-ray of that. I've just got a DVD, but the DVD is really good. I think it's put out by whoever put out the Blu-ray. I don't know, but all I know is the DVD I got is, it's the anamorphic widescreen, and it looks really good. And it's all grainy, so it looks really good upscaled. So I think I'm fine with the DVD. But yeah, Summer Hill Cinema 700. I think you're gonna like Shockwaves. It's got a really cool atmosphere and just like tropical Nazi zombies that can walk underwater, and it's really fun. C-Snap says John Carradine, Peter Cushing. Exactly. I really like John Carradine in that movie and kind of wish he was in it more, but definitely got a great, like if you're freezing during the winter, it's definitely got a very great tropical feel to it. Wade Wilson says, have you ever seen the movie Scarecrows from the 80s? If you reviewed it already, I might not have seen your video review on it. Yes, I have in fact reviewed it, but that's okay. After all, this channel is full of almost 10 years worth of reviews. So if you want to go check out the review at a later point, feel free to do so. But yeah, I'm a big fan of Scarecrows, and I kind of I regret that I didn't pick up the Blu-ray when it was for sale. But the reason I didn't is because the DVD upscales so well on my TV that I just like the Blu-ray, But it's not the biggest deal in the world. But I'm a big fan of Scarecrows. I think it's one of those low-budget movies that really just feels so much different than so many other movies. It's really got a cool, I don't know, a cool vibe to it. And the music is great. And that daughter of the pilot, man, she's kind of hot. Gary Page says, yes, Peter Cushing, Nazi. C-Snap says, Scarecrows is a classic, best killer scarecrow movie. Wade Wilson, I picked up Scarecrows for $30 on Laserdisc. That's cool. So is that like the old Laserdisc from the original distributor of it? It was some really, really off-brand freaking label. Like I have the original VHS, and I think I show it in my review of Scarecrows. I can't even think of the label that put it out. C-Snap says there was talk of making a sequel to Scarecrows, but it was going to be titled Last Straw. I know. I read that in like Fangoria at the time, or Gorezone, when I was 14. I was kind of looking forward to that. But yeah, Scarecrows, the music, dun, dun, dun. I know you guys love it when I do my vocal versions of movie themes. Yeah, the music is really great now that I'm thinking about it. Dun, dun, dun. Another thing about Scarecrows, and I think I even mentioned this in my review, is for being a low-budget movie in the early 80s, it's really got a really expansive stereo, like probably an ultra stereo soundtrack. It's really got the DVD I have's got a good stereo soundtrack. I hope back to Summer Hill Cinema's Shockwaves. I hope you like it. I'm sure you will. It's got a great 70s feel to it, and it's all grainy, the film grain and all that stuff, and tropical atmosphere and cool ass like electronic music stuff. C-Snap says, yes, the Fangoria article. Yep. Summer Hill Cinema 700 says, speaking of Laserdisc, I recently bought in mint condition a copy of Chud on Laserdisc. Damn. So now is that media? Here, let me take a guess. It's media, home video, but is it distributed on Laserdisc by Image? That's just a question because I've recently seen a Halloween Laserdisc on eBay, and it was put out, the media version, but was distributed on Laserdisc by Image. C-Snap says Dark Night of the Scarecrow, great TV horror from the early 80s. Yeah, I saw that and reviewed it maybe a couple of years ago now. It was a situation where for me, because of what it was kind of left me underwhelmed, but I did like the overall feel to it, you know. So I'm not going to say that it's no good, but I definitely prefer Scarecrows more. Summerhill 700 says, yeah, I think you're correct regarding the Laserdisc of Chud. That is really cool. So where did you get it on? Did you find it at a store, or did you get it off eBay? I got to admit, I've been, you know how I talked about in some of my reviews and stuff that the winter months I find myself eBaying. I've been eyeing things like Terror Train Laserdisc and, you know, Friday Part 7 poster and stuff. There's a Terror Train. Shit, I don't want to tell you about it and have you buy it. That's okay. If someone buys my things on eBay, that's okay. But I don't know. Part of me wants a Terror Train Laserdisc, and the other part of me is like, more junk. C-Snap says cannibalistic, humanoid, underground dwellers. What the hell are you talking about? Just kidding. He's referring to the title of the movie, Chud. Fake Shemp Taboo says, here's a question with the original Halloween 1978. Theatrical or extended version? Good question. I like the extended because my favorite aspect of Halloween is Loomis. That's a very good question. Back in like 89, I got at Target a VHS tape of Halloween, and it was I didn't know at the time, and I don't think it indicates it on the tape, but it was the TV version. And having seen the original version first, I was like seeing these extra scenes. I was like, what the hell? Another thing is, I think the TV version on that tape was brighter than the original version on the, you know, the theatrical version on tape. So I'm like, oh my God, I can see more, and there's extra scenes. What the hell is this about? I guess I tend to be more of a fan of the theatrical version. I haven't seen, I don't know if I even have a way to see the TV version on DVD or anything. I don't have any of those DVDs that have the TV version on it, I don't think. So that's a really good question, though. I guess I can't really, I guess I can't really answer it because I haven't seen the extended one in a while, but I can understand why, you know, someone who likes Loomis would like that one more because it's got more Loomis scenes. That's an interesting question. Wade Wilson says, don't slip up, keep your laser discs, seek out a secret. I think he's talking about, I shouldn't have probably mentioned what I'm doing in regards to my finds on eBay. I agree. I was like, whoops. That's okay. I don't think I'm gonna buy Terror Train Laserdisc. It's, I mean, what's the point? But I'll, you know, regarding things I really, I mean, that's a good point. You know, and that's, I'm not used to being live. You say something out loud and you're waiting. Shit, I can't edit that out after the fact. Well, I mean, I could, but I mean, you guys heard it. You know, if I edit it out later, that's not going to stop you guys from hearing it. Summerhill Cinema 700 says, I got it on eBay, referring to the Chud Laserdisc. That's very cool. I would be very interested if you wanted to do a short video of that at some point to showcase that. I'd be really interested to see the front and back cover of that, and just in general, that's very, very cool. Yeah, how cool is it, those like freaking, 80s Laserdisc and media Laserdisc from the 80s. That's a really cool find, Summerhill's Cinema 700 Chud on Laserdisc. C-Snap says, I have the original VHS copy of Driller Killer and got it signed by Abel Ferrero. Well, that's very cool. I was just thinking about that movie the other day, and I think Summerhill Cinema can kind of attest to this. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I like aspects of it, but I think Summerhill Cinema 700 was kind of underwhelmed by it. If memory serves, I might be wrong, but I want to like that, and it's just a little too grimy for me. Grimy and ugh. But that's cool. That's cool. You've got that signed by the director and I guess / star of that particular movie. Summerhill Cinema 700 says, "You mean contamination hazard urban disposal? Ha ha ha." Oh yeah, isn't there two versions of what chud means? I think you might be right. I haven't seen it for a while, but I think you're right. There's two different versions of what chud can mean, I think. Gary Page, well, C-Snap goes laugh out loud. Gary Page says Terror Train 88 Films Blu-ray is good. Fox logo at the start, and they clean the image up. Now, oh, that's very cool. Is that region free? Because I'd almost be interested in that if it's region free. I need to be able to play it in America. Summerhill 7 Cinema, okay, Summerhill Cinema 700 says I'm planning on doing a video of it in the near future. Very good, cool. I'd be very interested in seeing that. Yeah, I'm probably going to do a lot more Laserdisc showcasing videos this year because people tend to watch those more than my, reviews. The reviews, 30-minute reviews I do where I put a lot of effort into doing a 30-minute review of a movie, but more people will watch a 5-minute showcasing of me just showing a Laserdisc. That's cool, but I was surprised that people really seem to like those just showing old Laserdiscs, which is understandable. I mean, I want to see, Summerhill Cinema 700's Chud Laserdisc. So Wade Wilson says, which Laserdisc players do you guys and gals have? I own 2 Laserdisc players. I own a Panasonic LX-H670 and a Panasonic LX-900. I think, God, I can't remember. It seems to me like there's one of the, I think I answered that question in one of my videos I did showcasing the Laserdisc last year. I can't say for the life of me which one it is. Yeah, I guess you'll just have to watch every one of them. But I answer that question in either that or the comments. I think maybe I answer it. I show what? Oh, no, never mind. I'm talking about my Dolby Prologic surround receiver. So in one of those reviews, someone asked that question and I answered it in the comments. So that would be easier for you to look through. I don't know off the top of my head. I've got 2 Pioneer Laserdisc players and then 1 Samsung, I think, that I got at a pawn shop. But that's what I've got for Laserdisc players. Thank you for sharing the Laserdisc players you've got. Gary Page says, sorry, it's Region B. That's okay. I've got enough Blu-rays of Terror Train. It's just as well. Summerhill Cinema 700 says, yeah, Driller Killer is very grimy. It's very artsy film. It really focuses on visuals rather than story. Yeah, it's like everyone just snuffed some cocaine and just picked up a camera and grabbed some instruments and set action. I mean, for me, it's like, I mean, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings that likes it, but yeah, we'll just leave it at that. I'm not huge on Driller Killer. That's a movie that I could almost advocate for a remake of because I don't like the original. I think improvements could be made upon Driller Killer personally. C-Snap says the only Laserdisc I bought was a copy of The Bounty, one of my favorite films. Interesting. I've never seen, or really, I don't think I've heard of The Bounty. So C-Snap, do you own a Laserdisc player, or you just want to own the Laserdisc, or you just found it cheap or something? Fake Shemp Taboo says, Driller Killer, never seen it, but it makes me think of Toolbox Murders. Have you all seen the Tobe Hooper remake? Now, this is really interesting. I shot some reviews in November and early December, and those are the ones that I'm uploading one every week. And at the end of that shoot, which will probably go up sometime in early March or mid-March or something, is me reviewing the original Toolbox Murders. So my review of the original movie will go up probably sometime in March, and then I plan to watch, because I do own the Tobe Hooper remake on DVD as well, so I do plan to watch it and probably upload the review of the remake after the upload of the first movie. But Toolbox Murders for me is I hadn't seen it for a long time, and I got the DVD, which is a pardon me, by I don't know if it's, I can never remember if it's Blue Underground or Synapse, whatever, but the DVD is really good that I got, and hadn't seen it for a while, and I saw it through kind of different lens this time, and I guess I won't ruin it, and I'll just wait. I'll make you guys wait until March for the review, but I guess I'll just say that there's things I really like about it, and things that aren't so great. But I do love the '70s griminess of the original Toolbox Murders, and I mentioned this in the review. I'll just say it right. I can't talk about Toolbox Murders and not mention this. That he puts on the ski mask, how it's on sideways, was absolutely hilarious. I first saw that when I was, I think, 15 years old, and I was just in disbelief when I saw that. The camera pans up to him, and he's got the ski mask on, like, sideways, and it's just completely funny. That it probably, every take in that movie is probably one take, and they couldn't afford another take. They just leave it in the movie. It's just ridiculous. But yeah, there's aspects of, and I can't remember what the remake is like at all, but there's aspects of Toolbox Murders that I love. It's just like exploitative, you know, 70s horror at its best. And that nympho chick in the tub, I mean, what's not to like? Fake Shemp Taboo says, sweet. Yeah, Fake Shem Tambu, I wouldn't even necessarily bother with Driller Killer. In my opinion, you're not missing all that much, but everything's, you know, everything's, what's that word? Just according to taste or particular whatever. We'll just say that. Lou says Toolbox Murders remake was good. He also says Mortuary was another good one. It seems to me like I've seen Mortuary recently and didn't do a lot for me, unfortunately. C-Snap is not a remake fan at all. I hear you there. I mean, when they went crazy with the remakes thing, it just really pissed me off. Gary Page says The Prowler, 1981. I can get behind that. That's a movie for me. I think I can only assume I reviewed that. That aspects of it that are awesome, but then there are aspects that aren't so awesome. It's a movie that I don't watch very often, but it was good old Joseph Zito or Zito or whatever the hell his name is, you know, just preparing for his masterwork, Friday the 13th final chapter. And, you know, the Tom Savini stuff in The Prowler is fun. I don't know, the editor on The Prowler might not be, remember that scene where the guy's just like answering the lazy fat cop or the whatever the hell he is answering the phone, and it's just like, it almost seems like 5 minutes of just this guy sitting playing cards with himself at a desk. And I think I talk about this in my review of it, and it's almost like, well, you can't really even do that. It's kind of like a joke. Like, this guy says he's going to go check on something and he doesn't. He just sits there and wastes time and then pretends like he checked. And you can't really pull off that joke without having a lot of time of him just sitting there. But at the same time, it's like, for rewatch value, I guess there's always fast forward. But yeah, there's aspects of The Prowler that are really cool, like Tom Savini stuff, and then aspects that are like, what the hell? This is the guy who'd go on to make Final Chapter? So, once again, I mean, I'm not here to, you know, make anyone feel bad that likes it. We all have our own individual tastes. Scary Page says, ha 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 ha. Hope I did your laughing justice. Summerhill Cinema 700 says, I'm not a fan of remakes, but there are some movies that I would love to see sequels for, like Killer Clowns from Outer Space. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Or another thing, getting back to the Driller Killer, like I was saying regarding remakes, like remake, you know, and this is just my opinion of Driller Killer. I mean, I don't really like it, so I guess I could refer, I mean, I guess I'll just call it a bad movie for my purposes. If you're going to remake movies, remake bad movies or movies that, you know, can be improved upon. Some would argue that Driller Killer is great the way it is, when that's fine. But in my opinion, like, yeah, don't remake something that's classic and can never be improved. Remake bad movies. Is, you know, if you're going to remake movies, do that, in my opinion. And just to answer, well, it's not, you didn't ask the question, but just so you know, Summerhill Cinema 700, I've never seen. I know you're a big fan of Killer Clowns from Outer Space, but I've never seen. I don't like clowns, so that's why I haven't seen it. just in case anyone's wondering, I've never seen Killer Clowns from Outer Space. C-Snap says there's talk of a Killer Clown remake. I'm sure Summerhill Cinema 700 is going to love that news. He's going to be like, no, I want a sequel, not a remake. Wade Wilson says the prequel sequel to John Carpenter's The Thing had good aspects about it, but they ruined it with CG. I'm pretty sure I reviewed that on the channel way back when. I remember being relatively impressed with it. That might be one of my favorite like remakes slash prequels that they ever did. But I agree. I mean, it's like you're not going to get around the fact that anything that comes out now is going to be, you know, things that were going to have been done in the old days practically are now going to be CG. It's just such a shame. And I think C-Snap agrees with Wade's sentiments on his thoughts about the prequel, you know, sequel thing to John Carpenter's The Thing. Summerhill Cinema 700 says, imagine a remake of Chud. That would be something, but then again, I love the original so much. I mean, yeah, I don't know, I kind of feel like the remake wouldn't be as grimy as the original Chud. Like the underground stuff in the original Chud is just so grimy that it's just so great. You know, even because I first saw Chud when I was 12 years old, or yeah, sometime around 12, I saw it on TV, and I was just like, oh my god, this is so grimy. It's just so gross. It's great. I mean, that it's weird. Like with Driller Killer, I don't like grimy, but with Chud, the grimy works with it. Dun, 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 dun. Well, gosh, I don't know what the hell time is it. So it's 2:41 Central Time. I don't know how the hell long. This is fun. I don't know how long to go with this. I feel bad for people who, you know, want to watch this back later, who are like going to look at a 2-hour plus video in front of them, and god dang, I don't know how long to go. I guess I didn't expect this to just be so much fun. I see there's 6 thumbs up, and for me, I see 6 people here. So this has been really cool. It pays to advertise in advance, I guess, and let people know in advance when you're going to be doing this. So this was definitely, I guess it's not over yet, but this is definitely a much funner than the first 2 ones, as you can tell by the running time having been, well, you can't tell what the running time is yet because we're live, but it's just so for everyone that knows, we're 1 hour and 40, well, might as well say 1 hour and 43 minutes into this live stream, which is fine. This is, I mean, holy crap, talk about a time killer. Time is going by really fast. Summerhill Cinema 700 says, yeah, New York looks like Disneyland now compared to how it looked in the 80s. God, I'd almost prefer how it looked in the 80s if it looks like Disneyland. Oh, C-Snap doesn't want me to stop. He says, keep it lit, Nate. I don't know if that means keep going because I don't smoke. I'm probably going to have to recharge my bottle of water here soon. So there might be some silence, but I'm going to make this water here last as long as I can. But, you know, I'm not ending right now, but just in case anyone leaves before I do end, I do want to thank everyone for showing up and participating. This is definitely cool. So thank you. Oh yes, he says, yep, keep going. Okay, well, I'll keep going for a while, but I'm gonna have to, like I say, I think I want to watch Assault on Precinct 13 tonight, so I'm gonna have to stop at some point, but we'll keep going for now. Because I don't know, because this is cool. Wow, I see this might be a max here. Eight people watching. I think that's a new record for Huge Movie Fanatics Radio. Of course, I'm not always looking at the people counter, but Okay, so C-Snap asks, when are you planning the next? If you haven't got the memo, I did a video recently on the channel that says that I'm going to be doing this, or the plan is to do a live stream radio show every week, Thursday at 1 p.m. Central Time. So that's the plan for the winter anyway. I can't say that I'm going to do this every week when the weather warms up because I like to be outside and stuff. But that's the plan for, I guess, short term for the winter is once a week live stream every Thursday starting at 1 p.m. Central Time for now until something goes horribly wrong and it just whatever. But that's the plan for the winter plan, I guess, at this point. Pardon me. And obviously, as we're showing, pardon me, I'm drinking water. It's a, you know, it'd be an hour show minimum, but we're almost at 2 hours with this. I mean, if people show up and participate, it's probably obviously going to go over an hour every week for the live radio show. So that's the answer to that question. Every week, Thursday, starting at 1 p.m. Central Time is the plan for the Huge Movie Fanatics Radio for the remainder of the winter months. Summer Hill Cinema 700 says, yeah, I'll take anything over Disney, but let's not get into that. Agreed. We'll just leave it at that. Wade Wilson says, what do you think about the upcoming Ghostbusters movie? Just like with Halloween, what the hell, Halloween Kills last year was a bummer that we didn't get to see that last year, although I'm more excited about Halloween Kills than I am about the new Ghostbusters. The only thing I'm curious about the new Ghostbusters movie is how much of the original guys are going to be in it. If they're not going to be in it very much, if they're not going to put on the proton packs, if they're not going to do any stuff that they did in the the 80s where they're ghostbusting themselves, I'm not really interested. The only interest I have in the new upcoming Ghostbusters movie is original cast participation, and how much of it there is. I have no interest in these little kids putting on proton packs and driving the Ecto-1 around. Absolutely no interest in that. So I've got a bad feeling that the participation of the original cast members from the original movie is going to be very, 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 very small. Probably just cameo stuff or whatever. So that's my take on the upcoming Ghostbusters movie. It's just a bummer that we have to wait to be disappointed. Like, why couldn't we just been disappointed last year? But hopefully we can see the disappointing thing this year, even if it's got to be streamed or whatever. Oh God. C-Snap says, okay, cool, count me in, been good fun. Nice to chat with film buffs. Yeah, exactly. I definitely didn't know we'd be going to 2 hours, but it's hard to, I mean, why would you want to stop doing this? So like I said, I'm going to have to stop at some point today, but as long as there's any kind of momentum, I mean, we can keep going for a while. I don't know. We'll just keep going, I guess. I mean, the comments, I guess, are getting a little slower than they were a while ago. So maybe that's indication of, maybe we peaked and are on the downward spiral. I don't know. But that was a really good question, Wade Wilson, about the upcoming Ghostbusters. So I think I pretty much answered that question. What does anyone else think in the chat about the upcoming Ghostbusters movie? As I said, my only interest in it is how much the original cast is going to participate, but I can only, just based on things like original cast participation in the 2016 movie with the women Ghostbusters. I think, I fear that the original cast participation in the upcoming new one will probably be really small. And repeating myself, I'm not keen on the little kids with proton packs driving around in the Ecto-1 without a license. C-Snap says, with you on Ghostbusters, if Bill Murray isn't in it, forget it. From what I understand, he might be. It's still a mystery. I'm not following it very closely. I don't really follow, movie news and all this and that and gossip and crap. But from what I understand, he might be in it. I don't know. They like to make a mystery of things and keep people interested that way. And it doesn't kind of does the opposite for me to be all mysterytive, because it's like, okay, well, I don't care about your mystery. Just give me yes or no, you know. But basically, I've got more. We'll put it this way regarding Ghostbusters, the new upcoming movie. I've got more hope for Halloween Kills than, you know, the new the new upcoming Ghostbusters movie. Fake Shem Taboo says it's funny because my closest friend always grinds me on it, but not a Ghostbusters fan at all, like any of them. I'm not sure what you mean by grinds you on it. What are we talking about? Tell you what, I'm gonna just run away real quick and refill this water bottle. C-Snap, before I do that, asks, are you a Hammer horror fan? I can honestly say that I'm really not. Now, are Hammer movies, are they mostly the gothic kind of stuff? Because that's what I think of when I think of a Hammer movie. Actually, you know what? I did get like a Mill Creek DVD collection of, like, just recently for $5 of, I think they're called Hammer movies, and I don't think they're all, I think I don't know if they're technically Hammer. They might be, and some of them they aren't gothic movies. One of them called they're all like from the 50s and the 60s, and one of them's called like The Snorkel, and it's about some guy who gassed his wife while he was under the floorboards. Or no, he wasn't under the floorboards at the beginning, or maybe he was. I don't know, but he wore this snorkel so he wouldn't be gassed or whatever. So I guess if that was a Hammer movie, I guess I kind of like that. I don't have we'll just put it this way, I don't have a lot of familiarity. That might have been my first Hammer movie experience. But Wade Wilson says, I never gave Ghostbusters 2016 a shot. Have any of you watched Ghostbusters 2016, and would you recommend it or no? I've never made a video about it because I don't want to put any more, you know, attention to the movie into the universe than is already out there. So, but I have seen it, and I might as well just give everyone my brief review. I bought it used for $3 on DVD years ago, and I might as well give my brief review. I mean, as a whole, it's just shit. Stay away from it. One thing I do like about it is like I feel like the look of it and the ghost look, you know, the ghost effects and stuff are true to like the Ghostbusters universe, and I do like the computer generated Ghostbusters ghost stuff, and I kind of feel like it looks like a Ghostbusters movie, and there, you know, but I mean the women, some of the women more so than others, are practically almost impossible to even watch without, oh my god. So as a whole, I wouldn't recommend it, but it surprisingly did have some aspects, mostly just the ghost visual effects aspects that I thought were true to the Ghostbusters quote unquote universe, if you will. But like all of the humor with the women and this and that was just exhausting. And overall, I wouldn't recommend it. If you can see it for free, maybe do so, but I wouldn't pay necessarily money to see it. And C-Snap says, yeah, Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing. I'm not a big fan of like the gothic kind of movies in general, so that really isn't my forte. C-Snap says English made 60s, they're great. Yeah, so like I've got a DVD collection with some of those movies that was like $5 when Mill Creek put out. Like new transfers and stuff, which is pretty cool. I imagine they put them on Blu-ray too. Fake Shem Taboo says grinds, meaning like he can't believe that I'm not into Ghostbusters. Oh, it's weird that I don't know what age you guys are, but it's weird that I can only assume you're like younger than me, and it's weird that someone that would be young would be even into Ghostbusters, but it's interesting. Fake Shem Taboo says, oh yeah, love Hammer, Twins of Horror. C-Snap says Dracula Ride with the Devil are recommended Hammer movies, or Hammer horrors. Yeah, I don't think any of those titles are on the one I got. The one I got is probably some of the more lesser known ones or whatever. Fake Shem Taboo says they make my favorite mummy movie too. I think it was called Curse of the Mummy. I think it was the third in the series. I think there's one of those on that DVD collection. It's probably not the one that you're talking about, because maybe that's a famous one or something like that. C-Snap agrees with Fake Shemp about something. Wade Wilson says, I was born in '86 and grew up with the Ghostbusters movies and the cartoon show. The cartoon show might be better than the movies in some aspects. Yeah, if you're referring to the cartoon show Real Ghostbusters, that's probably true. The cool thing about a TV show, even if it's a cartoon show, is they have more running time to go further into characters, exploits, and this and that. So, although I was watching the Real Ghostbusters at the time as well too, and was so frustrated, as I think a lot of kids were, pretty much every kid, with that other cartoon Ghostbusters, which wasn't quote unquote the real Ghostbusters. Oh gosh, Will Powell has shown up. We're like almost 2 hours into the stream. Thank you for showing up. This guy actually is a musician, and I just last looked at your channel, and when I last looked, you only got one video up there. So that's kind of a bummer. You had a lot of cool videos on it in the past, and check out Will's channel for his one music video with him performing music if you so choose. But hello, Will. You've shown up when we're an hour and 56 minutes into this. I don't know how long we're gonna stick around, but maybe for another 30 minutes. I'm not sure. I've been trying to tear myself away from the chat to go refill my water bottle, but yeah, so far it's been going good. And Gary Page says, bloody hell, I think I'm the oldest here, born in 1970. Very well could be. I mean, that's okay though. Hell, Oh, come on, Wade. Jesus Christ. We got to keep it civil here. I don't know if, yeah, Wade Wilson says, you are an old man, Gary. Okay, well, you're going to be Gary's age someday. Oh, we're not going to go into this. C-Snap says, are you a fan of the Blind Dead movies? Tombs of the Blind Dead is recommended Spanish horror from the 60s. I can't say I've ever heard of that, so I guess that would be the answer to that question. Gary Page says, cheers. Yeah, that's a good response to that. We don't need to get, I don't know if anything was meant as mean or whatever, but yeah. C-Snap says, not far behind Gary, 1974, Wade Wilson. Okay, well, I figured that's what it was. He's just joking with you, Gary. Okay, let me refill the water bottle here so you can listen to silence for a second. Or we can do a mic test. This is me walking away from the laptop microphone. Can you still hear? I'll just keep talking and see how well the mic works. I'm refilling the water bottle. All right, mic test, ABCD, mic test. I'm coming back. Water bottle is filled. Will Powell, are you still with us? And if so, any questions or anything you want to talk about? I don't know if you're still with us or not. Thank you for joining. Let's see. C-Snap says, Nate, come on, you got to check the Blind Dead movies out. Yeah, I hear you. Lot to check out and so little time. Like I say, I've just, I still got, even though I'm not buying as much now, I still got piles of stuff to watch, and I'm not, yeah, I hear you. A Fake Shemp Taboo says, Simon Garfunkel's Sound of Silence, laugh out loud. Will Powell says, sorry for turning in so late, man. You've looked at my personal YouTube channel, which is just for browsing. Oh, my music channel with 24 vids is still there. Okay, so I guess you've got more than one channel. You've got this channel that you use to go on chats and start a ruckus, and then you've got your other real channel. I see. So don't start a ruckus. Well, if anyone's interested, maybe they can find Will Powell's other channel with 24 vids still there. But Wade Wilson says, what is the best 80s cartoon for you, Nate? Do you have a favorite? I don't want to cheat and mention a bunch. I want you to name a few off. Oh, golly. You know, gosh, I can't. Cartoons really weren't really a big part of my life as a kid. You know, it was more like movies. So I wasn't watching a whole lot of cartoons. I guess what I was watching, what I probably liked the most was the, you know, the 50s Warner Brothers cartoons and stuff that they'd show on TV on Saturday morning. Because even in the 80s, I wasn't so keen on the 80s, the cartoons being produced in the 80s. And there was this other show that I completely forgot about until I found it on Mill Creek DVD. I got like the complete set. I don't even think I watched one episode, but it was called Cops. I think it was from 1988. This show, this animated cartoon show, and the opening intro, the animation is so great. It's just like Cops. So if you want to check that out, you're probably familiar with it, Cops from 1988, but that was a cartoon show. And I had some of the figures, the action figures they put out for that show were like really, really high quality, really cool action figures. But I got to tell you, I wasn't so much into cartoons. Like, I was more into movies. So I guess I wasn't watching a lot of the contemporary at the time 80s cartoons. So I guess that's my answer to that question. C-Snap says the Blind Dead movies on DVD come in a cool coffin box, the best set I have ever bought. That's cool. Summerhill Cinema 700. Speaking of movies you should check out, I highly recommend Amsterdam and Stage Fright from 1987, Amsterdam from 1988. Yeah, you did a review of that, and I can imagine Amsterdam is fun because it's the guy who did The Lift. Thank you very much, Summerhill Cinema 700, for those recommendations. Wade Wilson, nothing like He-Man, Thundercats. Yeah, see, I mean, these titles I completely forgot about until you mentioned. I wasn't huge into He-Man or Thundercats. I mean, I was aware of them, but I gotta tell you, I think the cartoons I liked most as a kid were the like the 50s or 60s, or no, they were 50s, I think. Warner Brothers, you know, freaking Sylvester and you know, Tweety and Yosemite Sam and all that stuff, more so than the 80s, you know, the cartoons produced in the 80s. C-Snap says favorite 80s cartoon was Ulysses 31. I've never heard of that. Was that something, I don't know if that was in not something that wasn't in America and some other country maybe. Will Powell says, yeah, that's right. For my official music channel, just type in my name. Don't click on this account. From now on, I'll message through my music account. Oh, that's okay. I just thought that the one you messaged through was your old one or your other one, and I was like, what the hell? Why has he only got one video? But now it's all explained. Yes, Gary Page says Foghorn Leghorn. To me, those 50s Warner Brothers cartoons just have some of the most clever and just ridiculously funny humor in them. And not only that, but the craftsmanship and the music that goes along with them. Those to me are just some of the all-time best cartoons. Like, you know, those 50s Warner Brothers cartoons and stuff, and Daffy Duck. And to me, when someone says cartoons, those are the first thing that probably come to my mind. Those are, for me, cartoons, you know, of all cartoons are those cartoons. Will Powell says, question for you. Do you think Spielberg has still got it, or was his prime in the 80s or 70s, 80s, and 90s? Yeah, unfortunately, my opinion of Spielberg is just like with the trend of the movie industry. I feel like it just went to crap, and not even Spielberg is immune to it past the 90s, in my opinion. And it's not that he doesn't have talent. Like, I saw Ready Player One and it's visually interesting or whatever, but when you watched a Spielberg movie from the 70s and the 80s, and even to an extent in the 90s, you could almost know it was a Spielberg movie by watching it. But now if someone showed you Ready Player One, no one's going to be able to look at that and know it's a Spielberg movie just by watching it, because it looks like everything else over computer generated movie that's comes out. So in my opinion, Spielberg's era was basically the 70s and the 80s, and then maybe a little bit in like Jurassic Park and maybe a little bit in the 90s, but that's my answer to that question. I mean, the stuff, I mean, I guess I can't really, I mean, I haven't seen a lot of the stuff he's done recently, but the stuff I have seen that he's done recently, it's not special. It doesn't stand out like his stuff used to. CNAP says Ulysses 31 was Japanese/French great cartoon. Okay, well, that explains why. I never heard of it. Summerhill Cinema 700 says the Looney Tunes are my favorite cartoons. I have the Golden Collection box set and still watch them from time to time. Exactly. I've got like 4 of those, the first 4 of those Golden Age box set DVD collections. And those are just, the thing I don't like about them is for some reason, I don't like the Warner Brothers cartoons from the 30s. I don't really like the black and white ones, and some of the ones, you can really tell the difference in like the 30s and possibly 40s animation compared to the 50s. Like something about the 30s cartoons I don't like. And it's a bummer that some of those collections have a lot of those cartoons on it, and I just don't dig that stuff. But like the 50s ones and stuff for me I just love those. So right on with Summerhill Cinema 700 on there. I love those, man. It's just like all that, oh my God. It's just magical, that stuff. Fake Shem Taboo says, I'm having so much fun, but I've got to split. Thanks, Nate. Looking forward to the next week later, guys. Thank you very much. I think you were here for like 2 hours, so I can understand that. I'm going to have to probably go myself. I might possibly go for another 30 minutes. Thank you, Fake Shem Taboo. See you next week, hopefully. Maybe I can go for another 30 minutes. I've been doing this for 2:06. Maybe I can go another 24 minutes, so I can make it like 2 hours and 30 minutes. Definitely more than I thought I would be doing today. Will Powell says, yeah, I agree. He's pretty bland nowadays, but obviously still got skill. I'm not going to deny that he doesn't have skill, but I mean, the stuff that he does, also things that I'm just like completely, like political stuff that I'm not interested in, like, Lincoln and all this stuff. It's just like, yeah, I pretty much, I mean, I can't say that the stuff he's doing isn't good because I haven't seen most of it, but I guess what I'm saying is from what I have seen, like Ready Player One and stuff, it's just, yeah, it's not, definitely not the old Spielberg, but I mean, nothing, I don't know, nothing stays the same, I guess. Wade Wilson says, do you like Tim Burton? And if so, which Tim Burton movie stands out for you most? I'm not the biggest Tim Burton guy in the world. I definitely I guess my answer to that question would be Batman 1989. I mean, for me, that's classic. It was, that year of summer 89 was just like Batman mania. So I like Batman 89 a lot. I just rewatched Beetlejuice last year, and oh my God, I used to like that as a kid. I don't like it as an adult, I'm sad to say. Batman 89, I actually liked his Sleepy Hollow quite a bit. It was cool to see a modern take on that tale with actual effects where you can do the Headless Horseman correctly and stuff. So, although I haven't seen it for a long time, Edward Scissorhands I can remember being pretty good. I should watch that again. I've got that on DVD, but I haven't watched the DVD yet. So I guess Batman 89 is probably my top Tim Burton movie. Summerhill Cinema 700 agrees about the 1930s cartoons. Yeah, there's just something about them that I don't like the way they move and just it was the cartoon, the animation was just too much at its infancy for me. I mean, I'm sure there's a whole bunch of people that like them like I like the 50s ones, but it's just too archaic for me. Don't get me wrong, I like old movies and stuff, but something about those 30s cartoons that just don't resonate with me or rub me the wrong way. When those cartoons start rubbing you the wrong way, that's really, pardon me, no good. That's a bottle of water coming out. Pardon me, oh my God, I can't edit that out. Well, I could, but that doesn't mean you guys hadn't heard it initially. I'm not going to edit it out. It's too much work. Snap says Spielberg directed the first episode of Columbo. Check it out. Early 80s or early 70s, great stuff. I wasn't familiar with that. I'm of course a big fan of the movie Duel. just got the Duel Blu-ray last year. I've reviewed the movie Duel, I'm sure, years and years ago, but I'm a big fan of Duel. I grew up with Duel. His early stuff is great. Gary Page says, Nate, best show. I've got to go. All the best, and Jason is watching you. Oh my God. Thank you very much, Gary Page, for showing up. It's been fun. C-Snap says, Duel is great. I agree. Duel is some classic ass stuff. I think I mentioned this in my review of the movie, that I actually was able to see it at an art house kind of theater in the city years and years ago. So I actually saw the theatrical version in the theater, not, you know, original run, of course, but later on at some. That was really cool. That theater is, I think, gone now. It was like a theater, I think, from the 30s or the 40s that had been in that it was still in operation, and they'd play old movies. And I saw Citizen Kane and Magnificent Amberson's double bill there, and King Kong 33 and Mighty Joe Young double bill there, and Dial M for Murder in 3D. And I just saw so much there, you know, and it was just such a great time. And we're talking about the 90s and the 2000s, so it was 35 millimeter film projections, and they'd get new prints to, oh, it was such a magical time. The only problem is it was like in the city, and I had to drive, I don't like the city, and I had to drive into the city. But anyway, I saw Duel there as one of the movies I saw there. C-Snap asks, are you a fan of The Car? I can only assume you're talking about the movie The Car. You must not have been here early on, because I mentioned that, or either that or you didn't hear it. I mentioned I actually bought the Blu-ray, the Screen Factory Blu-ray of The Car recently, and saw it for the very first time. I'll probably review it later on in the spring. I thought it was fun. It didn't blow my ass off, but I definitely thought it was fun. The horn, I think the horn was fun. Dun, 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 dun. Like the horn was fun. Nah, 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 nah. So The Car was definitely goofy 70s fun. I'm glad I got the Blu-ray. Will Powell says the last Spielberg movie that made a real impact was Saving Private Ryan, in my opinion. My two favorite movies of all time is Jaws and Empire Strikes Back. Yeah, see, I'm not a fan of war movies. I'm not a fan of war, so I haven't seen that, and I'm not going to see that. So, but I know that, you know, that was quite the popular movie or whatever. So, yeah, Jaws is definitely great. We were able to see it at a drive-in last summer, because all they were playing was, well, for a great period of time they were playing old movies. So we were able to see Jaws at the drive-in last summer, which was drive-in theater, which was absolutely amazing. Of course, it was a digital projection, but it was still cool. They actually played Empire Strikes Back as well, but I didn't see that there. Jaws is just beyond classic, and just a movie that's like 2 hours long, but it just feels like it's like 15 minutes long. It's so great. C-Snap says there's a guy on YouTube that visits all the Duel locations as they are today. That's really freaking cool. And being the desert, maybe it's possible that maybe the locations didn't even change that much. I can remember when I was in California, me and my dad went to California in, when the hell was it, 2010. I was trying to go to the place where they filmed Friday the 13th Part 3, and it was a gated freaking studio. So we couldn't get in there, but I was like, I want to see the pond, because I think I knew the building was burned down, but I wanted to see the pond where Mrs. Voorhees came out and grabbed Chris. But we were so close to that place, and frick. I was trying to find the Meyer, or not the Myers house, but the babysitting houses, and we couldn't find them. And I don't remember if I found some film locations, but not some of them. Didn't have a lot of time to be looking around there. Will Powell says, I'm aware Spielberg had nothing to do with Empire. Haha. Yeah, I could only assume that. I was going to mention it, but I'm like, I don't think I have to mention that, do I? White Wilson says, Nate, do you think movie theaters will die off entirely from streaming? I know people like the bigger screens, but I used to work in the movie theaters, and when I was younger, and they've always struggled. It's an interesting question. Obviously, that's a question now, is will they die? I think a lot of them are going to die off. I mean, Oh my God. It depends on how long they keep us in this bullshit world they've currently got us in, I guess. I would imagine that, only if any theaters do survive, only the biggest chains have a chance, and the smaller chains or the smaller theaters will die off. And just like everything else, the big ones will be the only ones that can survive. But to be honest, I mean, it doesn't really matter to me if movie theaters die off because I don't really see movies much because I don't really like movies that they make these days. So I guess to me, it doesn't really even matter. I just my movie watching these days is pretty much just seeing for the very first time movies that I've never seen from the 70s or the 80s. I'm seeing 40-year-old or 40-plus-year-old movies for the first time. That's really fun for me. So I don't really care about new movies, and I don't really care about movie theaters. I know it's a lot of people like to go and it's sad for them, but I guess that's my opinion on the future of movie theaters. C-Snap says, Empire, Jaws, and Raiders are my childhood favorites. Yeah, Raiders of the Lost Ark is huge for my childhood. I didn't even see Temple of Doom until I was a teenager because I was so afraid of what I was hearing everyone say, the monkey brains eating scene. But I don't think Temple of Doom, it's a completely different beast compared to Raiders of the Lost Ark. So you almost can't compare them, really. But I agree on Raiders of the Lost Ark. That's a classic. C-Snap says there's a guy who visits all the Friday 3 locations. The barn is still there and has the pitchfork holes in the crossbeam. Damn it! I mean, I think me and my dad were at the gate of that place, and there was where they filmed that, and it was a guard, obviously. And if you're not on his list of people to show up, you're not going to get in there. I don't know. Yeah, it was a bummer to be like pretty much at the Friday 3 filming location and not be able to get in. It was just like, I don't know why we went there. I guess I was thinking maybe we could get in. I don't know. But that's really cool that the barn's still there. Summer Hill Cinema 700 says, it was cool. One of my local movie theaters was playing older films last summer because nothing new was coming out. Saw all the Indians, you mean? Oh, okay. Indiana Jones movies, Jurassic Park, and the Goonies. Yeah, I don't think they played. Yeah, maybe they did play those here too. But we saw Jurassic Park, and I think a Jurassic Park and Jaws double bill at the drive-in. And they played the Goonies, but I don't like the Goonies, so we didn't see that. And that was fun. I kind of hope they do the same thing this year and just play old movies because it's much more fun to go to those than the new movies, in my opinion. Will Powell says, just thought I'd say the first video I saw of you was Black Christmas 1974 review. Been a fan ever since. Well, thank you very much. Gosh, was that a long time ago? Was that when I was still reviewing with another gentleman? Thank you very much for being a viewer ever since. That's cool. Will Powell says, enjoyed the banter with you and Matt, but still watched ever since he left. Okay, so it was back in the Matt days. Will Powell says, Temple of Doom is a fun adventure. Gets slightly too much hate, in my opinion. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's fun, but compared to the first movie, it's like a comic book. But see, that can be a good thing too. So I mean, I don't dislike it, but I guess I don't know what I was saying. I agree that it's fun in its own way, but it definitely, out of like the first 3 movies, definitely just sticks out as being like just goofy. But I don't claim that it's a bad movie. It's just it gets a little, I don't know what, goofy, I guess. C-Snap says, don't mention Crystal Skull. Yeah, it wasn't my intention to even do so. It doesn't exist. And yeah. So we're at 2 hours and 18, well, might as well say 19 minutes of this stream. Oh my gosh, I don't know how I'm going to quit. But because this is kind of fun. And just for anyone, listening or possibly watching after the fact, my plan for the winter short-term plan anyway is to do this every Thursday, starting at 1 p.m. Central Time, the Huge Movie Fanatics Radio, where it's basically, I kind of like just having it, and what it was today from very first minute, which was really cool, was a chat-based radio show where it's, we just interact, have you guys say your piece and I react to it versus me just showing up and blabbing and letting the chat go on unseen. It's more like a chat-based or chat-driven radio show, if you will. So it's more about the interaction than me just, blabbing my thoughts. So it's me reacting to your thoughts. Will Powell says, been watching a lot of Clint Eastwood movies recently. I'd enjoy seeing you review a few, maybe no pressure, of course. Yeah, that's a good comment. I got a whole bunch of like just loose Clint Eastwood movie discs like a year ago or something like that. So I was seeing some classic Eastwood myself, and I can't promise anything, but if I can, if I can remember, pardon me, it's something that I definitely would possibly be interested in. Like, for example, one of them was Play Misty for Me. Personally, I'll just say this in regards to Clint Eastwood. Like, I think he's a classic, iconic actor, but like for me personally, like I've never been like a huge fan, or I don't think there's like, for me, any of the Clint Eastwood movies I've ever seen were anything like amazing in my opinion. Like, I don't know. I mean, I like Dirty Harry, and I don't know. I guess at the end of the day, I'm just not a huge Clint Eastwood fan, especially what he's been making recently. Like, he's in regards to what he's been making recently, he's just one of the most boring filmmakers personally. But I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. C-Snap says, are you a fan of Race with the Devil, Peter Fonda and Warren Oates? I don't think I've ever seen that. Will Powell says, oh, that's fair, man. I mean, like his recent movies and like that Richard Jewell or whatever, like who the hell is going to even want to see that? Like, and I actually saw, and I was just so bored with it that I didn't even do a review on it. I actually saw, because I was interested in seeing him act again, because after Gran Torino, that was supposed to be possibly the last movie he was in. So when he was back for the, whatever the hell it was, the one he did where he starred in or whatever, I was like, oh, wow. So I wanted to see it, and it was just, oh my God. It's just so plain to me. I can't remember what it's called. The one where he's the old guy driving around the drugs around in the truck or whatever. But, again, I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings if they like these movies, but that's just my own personal opinion. Like, like 70s and 80s Clint Eastwood is another story. Like not Die Hard, but Dirty Harry. I mean, that kind of stuff is classic. And I mean, stuff like, Play Misty for Me and stuff are more watchable to me than his, recent stuff. C-Snap says, check it out, 70s in regards to Race with the Devil. Yeah, I think I've heard of it. Thank you for the recommendation. Can't make any promises. Oh, okay. Will Powell says Escape from Alcatraz is one of my favorites. Yeah, that's one that I got on DVD for like $3 years ago. I watched that not long ago, and that was pretty cool. I can get on board with you with that. It's like 70s and 80s Clint Eastwood is a lot more enjoyable than, like, I don't know, current Clint Eastwood movies or whatever. So I can get on board with Escape from Alcatraz. Yeah, C-Snap says The Mule. That's the title I was thinking of regarding his latest movie or that one where he was the drug dealer, the drug mover, or whatever the hell he was. Alcatraz is classic Eastwood. C-Snap says Summer Hills Cinema 700 says, signing out. Time to watch Shockwaves. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you very much for stopping by. Enjoy Shockwaves. Yeah, I'm sure you will. C-Snap says Where Eagles Dare is great too. Haven't seen that myself. Will Powell says, I get he's got I get he's not to everyone's taste, but I used to watch his movies with my dad as a kid, so they bring back memories. But obviously, his later stuff is just an afterthought. Oh, I definitely hear you. You know, what you grew up with and watching with important family members and stuff has a huge impact on, well, not even what you know, who you watch them with, but just seeing stuff as a kid has a huge impact on how you think of, you know, actors in movies as an adult. So I can totally understand that. It'd probably be the same way with me if I grew up with Clint Eastwood movies, which I never really did. You know, I was always aware of Dirty Harry and stuff, but I don't think I'd actually saw it until I was in my 30s. Will Powell says, yeah, The Mule was boring. Ha, saw that at the cinema and wasn't impressed. He gives it 6 out of 10. That's pretty generous. Pretty generous. Yeah, like the movies he makes now for me are like some of the most boring movies. And I guess the way I'd put it is the sentiment, just the phony baloney American, North American just sentiment is just so generic and boring. It's just like, oh my God, the sentiment in the most recent Clint Eastwood movies, like The Mule and stuff. And I can only imagine that Richard Jewell boring snooze fest movie was the same. Just this boring, just North American sentiment crap. Just like, oh my God. And, you know, ending with the, you know, the track up, pull out, and the music, and he's like tilling the garden at the prison or whatever. Give me a break. C-Snap says there was talk years ago about having Eastwood as an old alcoholic Batman. Okay, can't say I've heard of that. Will Powell says, ha 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 ha. Probably in regards to my comments about the mule, I would imagine. Oh man, this is like almost addicting. It's like we're coming on 2.5 hours of doing this. I kind of feel like I don't want to end in 4 minutes. It's kind of like not fair to Will, who just showed up. Do you remember? Do you happen to remember how long ago you showed up, Will? I hate to just, you know, bail on you right after you showed up, but we'll probably go past 2 hours and 30 minutes at this point because now it's, you know, almost 2 hours and 27 minutes into the stream. But definitely didn't intend to be going this long, but it's fine because it's fun and all and stuff like that. C-Snap says, best blurb on a video cover, Sewer Baby, all he wanted was a cuddle. Laugh out loud. I can't say I have any idea what the hell you're talking about. Is Sewer Baby a movie? Was it a Clint Eastwood movie, or are we talking about something else? I think I gotta go tinkle, as Andy Barkley would say. So I'll be right back, and no peeking. I'll be right back. All right, here I am. Yeah, not exactly why I said no peeking, as we're all probably guys, but whatever. Just pretend I didn't say that. C-Snap says 80s low budget horror is Sewer Baby. It almost seems familiar. All he wanted was a cuddle. That's the tagline. Sewer baby. That's funny. Will Powell says he was joined about a half hour ago, but you don't have to keep going just for me. I appreciate you going on longer. Oh, that's okay. I'm kind of just going on because this is just kind of fun. So that's okay. I'm just glad you could show up. Thank you. He says, whatever suits you, buddy. Thank you very much. I don't know. Maybe 15 more minutes. It's hard to stop, but we'll see what happens. We'll just go with the flow. Oh, looks like C-Snap might be leaving. Well, he says, well, that was good fun, Nate. Good show. Thank you very much for showing up. He says, this is Joe from Dublin signing off. Hope to catch you next week. Thanks, Nate. See you guys. Thank you very much. Have a good week. Wade Wilson says, well, some guys might want to get a peek. Yeah, I know. There's always that possibility. So there is that, I guess. Oh Lordy. Dun 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 dun. Will Powell. Question, off topic of movies. Have you ever been to England? I have never been out of the United States of America. So, and I think there's less and less chance that that'll ever happen the way things are going now. So, no, I have not. But my dad always wanted to go there. So, I mean, yeah, I guess that's where that goes. No, I have not. But, you know, if things were different or whatever, and if the world hadn't turned into, or, you know, isn't turning into what it is turning into, it would have been something that I probably would have wanted to do in the future. But I think in the very near future going forward, the things that you're going to need to do to travel internationally are just going to be things that I'm not willing to acquiesce to do. So plus crap, I don't even, yeah, I'm not a big traveler, like, you know, even going from like halfway across the country to California or something is really kind of being uprooted and just away from home's kind of, I'm not really the personality that deals very well with that. Will Powell says, fair. I recommend it, but the Southwest especially, it's beautiful. Yeah, me and my dad in 2010 went to the West, and we flew into San Francisco, and we drove down to Vegas. So we drove through, you know, LA and Hollywood and ended up in Vegas and flew home. So that was interesting. Wade Wilson says 2020 and 21 have been the most depressing time in history for me. I agree. I think that is the case for pretty much everyone who's alive. And we can only hope that what they have in store for us this year is not worse than last year, but who the hell knows? We can't control that. Will Powell says, I'd like to see more of America, only been to Vegas. Ha, oh my God. That was quite the, Jesus Christ. Crappy experience. Oh my God. Yeah, I'm so, just that place just is completely the opposite of my personality. So I remember my dad, I think it was the first time he'd ever been there, and my dad put a couple of quarters in a slot machine and pulled the thing or pushed a button a couple times, and he was bored. He's like, what's the big deal? And I'm like, exactly. People sit here all day and just, oh my God. So my dad and I definitely weren't Vegas people. Will Powell says, ha ha ha, yeah. Yeah, Vegas is another story entirely. I'd gone there with my mom, I think in '98, and she liked it, and I just hated it. And then I'd gone with my dad because in 2010, I don't think he'd ever been there, and it's like he wasn't missing anything, and I hated it again. And So that's all I can really say about Vegas. You know, I'm more about like if I'm going to travel or whatever, it's more about like Montana or big sprawling hills of trees and pardon me, just outdoors, not freaking Vegas. But I know that's people like it or whatever. I can remember me and my dad flew in San Francisco and rented a car and drove down over the period of a week or whatever to Vegas. And we were driving. I was driving, and there was this. I stopped at a stoplight, and there was this one girl who was to the next of to the side of us. Who I looked over at her, and she made this low job motion, in front of with her hand in front of her face, and I shook my head. I'm like, nah. That was kind of funny because she was on the passenger side, so we made this visual communique, past my dad, who I think was just I don't know reading or sleeping. He was unaware of what that little communication that transpired. But yeah, that was interesting. Will Powell says he went as a group of friends, or we went as a group of friends. Personally, I'd rather gone to somewhere more rural. I have a problem with this word, rural, as you can tell. He would have wanted to go somewhere more rural. Yeah, exactly. If you're with a group of friends, then it's kind of like you got to do what the group of friends want you to do, and yeah. I'd love to explore the natural side of America too, but I'm not a big traveler. Luckily, it's pretty nice around where I am in the summer. So, Will Powell says, only because I've seen movies and beautiful backdrops like The River Wild and old westerns. Yeah, I love The River Wild. I've reviewed that several years ago, and that's absolutely beautiful and amazing scenery and stuff. I think I reviewed that movie while I was kayaking on a river, which was kind of cool. I used to do that stuff where I reviewed some of the, like, Don't Go in the Woods and the Forest and Just Before Dawn while I was in the woods, and I reviewed some river movies on the river. I'm just too lazy recently to do that, but you may have seen some of those reviews. I think at this plan, what we're going to do is cut it off at probably 9 minutes at 2 hours and 45 minutes, because the chat is becoming dead. So, and because I'm a psycho OCD person, I gotta end on 15-minute increments. But Will Powell asks, do you know where it was shot regarding River Wild? I would imagine, I think it was Montana. My dad's mom used to live there, so I've been there a couple times, but not recently. I mean, that was as a kid and like a 22-year-old and stuff. So I think it was Montana or something like that. Yeah, Montana is nice. I could be wrong, but the state Montana comes to mind. I just realized I can, when when it's dead air, I can just hum the theme to Assault on Precinct 13 when I don't know what to say or when I'm waiting for the next comment. But I think, like I said just a few moments ago, I think we will end this at 2 hours and 45 minutes, which is, I don't know, almost, I think it's like 7 minutes or so, 6 or 7 minutes from now. I like to give people ample warning when the fun is going to come to an abrupt end. Dun 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 dun. Will Powell says, great movie. referring to, I can only assume, River Wild. Yeah, it's really good. I mean, my dad saw it at a second run theater, I think. Well, I know for sure. I was going to say I think it was 94, but it could have been 95. I don't know when we saw it. But first run theater, I mean, second run theater, I mean. Will Powell says, love that synth sound. I'm assuming you're referring to the music for Assault on Precinct 13. Yeah, someone brought it up earlier in the radio show, and I think I'm going to have to watch it tonight. I haven't seen it for a long time, and I might have to watch good old Assault on Precinct 13 this evening. It's such a goofy-ass movie. You know, if that little girl just would have, you know, been okay with the wrong flavor, maybe she would have lived. Will Powell says, no, I was referring to Assault on Precinct 13. And I thought that's what I said. Maybe I'm so far into live streaming that I said the wrong thing. I don't remember what I said. If I didn't say that, that's what I meant to say. Wade Wilson says, what's your favorite Friday the 13th movie and what's your favorite A Nightmare on Elm Street movie? I'm going to have to rewatch your videos. My attention span is short, so probably forgot. My favorite Friday the 13th movie is the first one from 1980, hands down. It's also probably, if not my favorite movie, one of my favorite movies. And my favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie is the first movie from 1984 as well. First movies, more oftentimes than not, are my favorites of a franchise. But yeah, feel free to check out my reviews of Friday the 13th 1 through 8 that I did in 2018. Those are some pretty in-depth reviews, and some of them are pretty long. And I really try to get into everything I feel about those movies and stuff. I almost feel like I should do that this year with the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, although it's not a franchise that I'm crazy about. It is kind of near and dear to my heart because I discovered it when I was a kid too, like with Friday the 13th movies. Will Powell says that's a disturbing scene, actually. Oh yeah, he's referring to the little girl being shot. Exactly. When I saw it for the first time, I was like, God dang, I could have done without that. That's a little, but I guess that's what the movie's about. But since the movie's so goofy and kind of unrealistic, I don't think, you know, it affects us that much. But I was definitely like, God, they went there. I don't know if they'd even, that's what's cool about it, is I don't know if you could even get away with that these days. I wish I could remember the flavors, but I asked for whatever. This is chocolate crunch. I asked for vanilla twist. And the little silencer gunshot. It's just like, oh my God, that's funny stuff. I mean, it's mean to say it's funny, but it's not real, so it wouldn't be funny in real life. And in case Wade Wilson, you're interested, I know actually my first, I can rank my favorite my first 4 Friday the 13th movies. So it goes, my favorite is the first one, my second favorite part, you know, it's Final Chapter, my third favorite's the second one, and my fourth favorite's the third one. And after that, I don't know, it's probably just goes maybe in order 5, 6, and 7 or whatever. 8's my least favorite of the first 8 Friday the 13th movies. I don't know how my ranking would go for Nightmare on Elm Street. I've never thought of anything beyond just the first one. I actually like part 2 because, I don't know, I actually like part 2. So I think I like 2. 2 might be my second favorite Nightmare on Elm Street movie, believe it or not. I think the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, as far as my ranking of liking them, might go almost in order, although I like Freddy's Dead probably more than 5. I'm not, maybe 5 of the first, you know, 6 movies might be my least favorite. I don't know. Will Powell says, lesson in life, referring to the girl getting shot, I guess. Don't be picky. That is quite the life lesson. Just eat whatever ice cream you're dealt, I guess. Wade Wilson says, same. I love Freddy's Revenge. Yeah, I mean, the first two Nightmare on Elm Street movies I saw were the first one and the second one off TV, and I really like the second one still. I think, although it's kind of doesn't go in line with the rules of Freddy, I thought it was an interesting idea for a sequel. Wade Wilson says, I enjoy that Freddy comes into the real world with the majority of the movie. It was a little different. Exactly. People say, well, this doesn't follow the rules of Freddy. But you know what? That's what's cool. It's like a part two. It's a second movie. It's Freddy doing something different. And I think that was really cool. And to be honest, it would have been cool if they would have done more of that. Freddy, like, coming into the real world or even thinking of something different for him to do. I thought that was a really cool thing about the second one as well. And, yeah, I really like part two. I think it's really kind of a cool sequel. But I think we're basically approaching 2 hours, and we are at 2 hours and 45 minutes of this radio broadcast. I'm afraid I'm probably going to say goodbye for this week. You know, it's been definitely a lot of fun. Hope to see you guys next week or following weeks or whatever. The plan, of course, at this point is to keep doing this. Thank you very much for showing up. I think that'll be the end for this week, as I gotta, I don't know what, eat something and all that kind of stuff. Thank you very much, Will Powell and Wade Wilson, for showing up and sticking through to the end. Hope to do it again next week. No pressure, obviously, to show up. If you're so inclined to do so, feel free. If not, that's cool too. I'll just chat with whoever shows up. Thank you guys very much for showing up, and we'll see you guys next time.